I missed it. I totally missed it. I was paying attention to something else.
I think you were reading a passage from the Bible.
I was actually. I was going to my YouTube content page because not that anybody cares about what happens in the background, but when you use StreamYard, it doesn't monetize your video for you. You have to go to YouTube to do it. So I don't want to forget and not do it, of course. So I try to do it right away once we get started, and I can't do it until it's live. So
Okay. All right.
kind of a weird little twitch with those two services, how they work together. But
Yeah.
anyway, yo, YouTube. Welcome back to the live Wednesday evenings with Charlie and our man Stu, our gentle goat, our resident gentle goat.
Still here.
Not so gentle lately. He's still missing an ear. So
He is. He is. He's
yeah.
learning to live, cope with it. You know, he's a one-eared goat now.
Well, they say, when you lose part of a sense, something else, one of your other senses takes over, right? So
Yes.
So which sensory do you think has increased due to his lack of hearing?
I think his sense of
Speech?
hearing. I think his sense of hearing because he's talking louder all the time.
That's pretty legit, really. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've got a few things to go over this week. We had a show this past weekend that we set up at and bought a ton of stuff at. I bought a ton of stuff for sure. We have some other things going on. The Discord has really taken off, so we're pretty pleased with that. As I set up the server, and then I had a few ideas pop in here or there for some different channels. I think we're having a lot of fun with that, getting a lot of viewers in there. So we thank everybody who's joined the Discord and is active there. If you have not done so yet, you're going to want to do that. It is free, of course. The invite ask code or invite code, I don't know, whatever you want to call it,
What do
is
you
on the ticker on the bottom there. It doesn't require an invite code because I don't have a lockdown or anything, so you can just look us up on Discord too. It's under the dollar box, of course. So check that out there. Charlie does a great job on there responding to people. I do an okay job on there responding to people and trying to keep some things active. We've got some spots in there where you can put some of your own information. You guys have to listen to us every week. We figured let's have a spot where you can put your eBay store up and some of your social contact information and things that, if you want that out there, there's a place for that, for us to continue with our community involvement there. How are sales going this week, Charlie?
Boy, it's interesting you asked that because you asked me this morning, what do we want to talk about tonight? And one of the things I threw back was really kind of just the ups and downs of selling. The thing you really, I guess if we want to jump into that topic right away, the thing you really have to learn doing this is, as much as you can try to direct your sales and increase sales and expand your diversity in your store and get more sales that way and do your promotions, ultimately you can't control your sales. They're either going to happen or they're not. You can't snap your fingers and say, okay, I'm doing this, that's going to be a 10x on my sales. So it has been a little down from the last couple weeks. And I found myself thinking about it the other day, like, okay, what do I got to shake up? What do I got to do? What do I got to do? And then, shortly after that, I had my daily norm of sales in the next hour. And I was like, oh, well, it's going okay. Actually,
it can be streaky.
Yeah, I wanted to show you something. We can actually share this. You're gonna have to approve this, of course, when it comes through. But take a look at that once you get it.
Do you want me to take us off, or?
Well, you can if you want, if it makes it easier for people to see.
Okay, hold on a second.
spikes. There's some valleys. There's the big sales event when 2024 Topps came out. And then right on its heels, there was the 2023 Topps Chrome F1. And you see that big spike there from the 17th through the 21st, and a little lingering boost there after that into like the 25th. But look at how, it's up and down, up and down. And I think when you think about eBay selling in a word, especially for those of us that are still kind of getting things going, I guess Adam, you and I talk all the time about, am I still a rookie or am I a vet? And I say, well, I'm somewhere in between. I'm an intermediate. A year is not that long in doing this, but I'm certainly not at the kind of volume you move. I think it's subjected to more highs and lows on a regular basis. Sure. So, you can really see in that chart how it'll jump some days and then it'll drop. And I have to remind myself sometimes, look, you can't do anything that is going to guarantee you more sales. There's things you can do to help nudge it along, but it depends on what buyers are doing. Some days are going to be better than others. Trust the strategy you've put in place and done for a while. It's like the stock market, right? You don't want to buy and sell daily with your major holdings, right?
Right.
If you've got your funds in a long-term investment with a plan, just because it drops 10% one day, you don't want to sell everything immediately, right? Because you're in it for the long haul.
Well, and that's what people do it the opposite way of what you're supposed to do with investments. The only time to sell is when it goes way up, not when it goes down.
Yeah.
So, speaking of that, have you seen Bitcoin?
I haven't seen it. I've heard everybody talking about it.
And I say, all-time high yesterday.
Who cares?
I don't. I have Bitcoin. I care a lot.
All that make-believe money.
I have enough, and it's big chunks at a time at this point. So, well, all money is make-believe. If
That's true.
The U.S. dollar isn't backed by anything; it's just paper. And what's worse yet, they can just make more of it whenever they want. At least you can't do that with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is basically a store of value. It's gold. It's just not something you can hold in your hand. But we're also valuing gold based on what we think is left under the earth, but we really don't know that either.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a very interesting concept. But I've owned Bitcoin since 2012, and I don't plan on stopping at any time soon. But yeah, and the only reason I bring that up is because you mentioned the stock market and the ebbs and flows, and I've been a proponent of Bitcoin for a long time, and of course people like to give me crap right away when it goes down. Hey, how's your Bitcoin? Yeah, and it's like, well, now it's at an all-time high. So you have to sort of go with the punches a little. Don't buy Bitcoin right now. This is not financial advice, but I will not be buying Bitcoin right now. But if it goes back down to 8,000, I will be. If you're looking at getting out of that holding, this would probably be the best time to do it. Maybe it's happening again in another couple weeks. So you might want to hold on to it until it halves for the mining rewards, because that will make it more scarce, but which generally will increase value, as we all know in sports cards. That tends to be the case as well. So just a sidebar there, but anyway,
a big sidebar.
So my sales have been just booming big time, and I haven't really done anything different. As a matter of fact, I've been so busy I haven't even really done enlisting sell similar. I did a couple this morning just because it was popping off in the Discord. That was a topic that was on there, and I'm like, you know what, I haven't done any of those in a while. I should go drop a couple. And so what I want to say about this is, when you get to the level I'm at, there's so much activity all the time. You don't sit back and go, well, what can I do to get more sales? You just list cards and things sell. I sold a Ghostbusters card today that I forgot I even had. I probably listed it like 2 years ago. And it sold for full price. So what do I care, right? I mean, it doesn't, one card doesn't take up any room really in the drawer. So, but if I only had 200 listings, I might be like, well, why can't I sell this Ghostbusters card? Because it's that stuff stays in your mind.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to some degree, list it and forget it. Employ all your tactics that'll help you with your sales, your promotions, your newsletters, your coupons, your discounts for buying multiple cards. Do your things that you can do to help get a buyer. But outside of that, Charlie is right. You kind of have to, you gotta let it go, and the sales will come. I think it's going to be too easy to get frustrated if you just feel like, well, I have 10 listings out there and I haven't sold anything. Well, it is a play on numbers, big time. Especially if you want multiple card sales, because if you've got a Nolan Ryan collector and you have only 2 Nolan Ryan cards in your store, well, guess what? You're not going to sell 10 Nolan Ryan cards to a buyer. So you have to just kind of keep working at it. And the scanner's been helping some, because I got a bunch of just paper cards that have been sitting around that aren't that exciting looking. I got a bunch of those shoved in, and I sold a ton of it. So that's helped. And then outside of that time, I could really just focus on the shinies, right? On the own. Also, it's allowed me to kind of feel a little bit more freedom in my budget when I'm buying, because I feel like, well, if I buy 500 cards at a show, it's going to take me a few weeks to list those, versus now I can do them a lot faster.
Right.
And I just surpassed 37,000 listings. So it's continuing to move, selling a ton, but then I'm also getting a bunch on. And
a little easier to keep up now when you have a big sale day.
Yeah, well, what's helping is I'm almost at the halfway point of my inventory being in the better organized system that I have, and the other half is kind of not. And I'm just kind of letting that stuff sell out as much as I can. I did move some. I did skew some current listings.
Yeah.
When I didn't have the scanner and I didn't have as much to list, we were between shows and stuff like that. I did some of that, so I'm going to try to keep grabbing a few chunks here and there when I've got that time. But yeah, that's really started, because
I looked over. I can move this chunk over a row in my old system because I made room for it.
Right. Well, that was the thing I did. My bags are all in these rows in a drawer, right? So it's 4 rows in a drawer. And what I do is I just kind of, keep filling them throughout the week as I'm listing, and then I'll just keep pulling the orders. And then on Friday at the end of the week, I take all my bags and I push them as far forward as I can. And I ended up, this past week, with almost 15 bags, more, that has receded due to sales.
Nice.
So it's crazy how many I can move forward. And then that way I'm not constantly just taking up new space and trying to figure out what to do with the open space, from things that have sold. So I think that's going to be a sort of a fun little reward for myself, is on Friday, once I pull those orders, I get to slide those bags forward and see, sort of the fruits of the labor that way. I have quite a few bags. I started doing them. I think my first one was like December 20th or December 19th, something like that.
Sounds right.
Was when I started it. I could go check because they're dated, obviously, but I have a few bags now where I'm down to like 3-4 cards in a bag. So now I have to start looking at pulling those and changing the SKUs on them and putting them into another bag.
Yeah.
Or deciding if, well, this is long enough, I don't want to try to sell it anymore. Pull it out entirely and drop it in the dime box. So I'm getting kind of to that point now. I've kind of had this system around now for a little while, where I have to sort of decide what I'm doing with the earlier ones that have been posted and haven't sold yet. Or maybe I just go to those listings and I do end similar on those.
Yeah, you can
you
try
know,
that.
and do some specific listings. I don't know. I'll have to see where that goes. I've had it in my brain, but I haven't made any decisions on that yet. But yeah, scanner's working great. The settings have been pretty solid. I've had a few cards where things haven't gone through as well. A couple cards got rejected on my upload to eBay, um, so I had to pull those. I've had a few where I'll scan it and the front of the card looks great, and the back of the card is that little squished, where it doesn't like the
Yeah.
black edges. And it's like, if it's on the back, I kind of don't care as long as the front looks good. I'd probably still go with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And
Just take your phone out.
I've sold them that way too, so it doesn't matter. It's all about getting a sale. That's what matters. Um, but obviously, if there's something with the front, I would never upload it that way. So, but now what I do is because that was like I wasn't looking at the cards when I would scan them in. I would go to Card Dealer Pro right away. Well, now after I scan a batch in, I go to my photo files, and any of the photos that aren't a full front and a full back, I just delete them. So that when I go to Card Dealer Pro, everything in there is stuff that I
Right.
can just upload.
Yep.
And then I pull that card out and I put it in my shiny stack, and that's going to get photographed when I'm doing shinies. So
Yep.
I think we're getting our systems down pretty good with that, which is good.
Yeah, I don't upload my cards to my photos immediately. I use the preview in the scanner app before I send them, because there's a save button on the top too. So I changed my
Yep.
settings so it doesn't automatically save, because I want to scan them, review them, and then hit the save when I'm happy with the images, and that
Yeah.
way just
I kind of do it that way. I still let it auto save, but I go to my folder. I don't know if you remember this, but when you were here, I created a separate folder just for cards, my card scans. I just open that and then I go through them in there.
Yeah.
And the reason I do that in there is a couple reasons. If I forgot to delete the prior batch of photos, I want to make sure that I'm not uploading cards twice.
Yeah.
So it allows me to sort of double check my count there. And I think they're a little bit easier to view right in my folder than they are on the scan app. So
Sure.
neither of them is right, neither of them is wrong. We still get to the same answer, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting how much you and I do the same and how much we do different, right? Same with Bo, and same with a lot of you guys in the chat here, and viewers. Everybody's kind of got their ways, but that's kind of what makes it fun too, right? You can kind of make it your own. There's some things where you just have to do them, just like any job. If you don't promote, you're not going to get as many sales. If you don't have quality photos, you're not going to get it. There's some things that don't have much exception. But as far as like how you do some things, and maybe where you do them from or where you get them from, you have a little bit of liberty to do that. You don't have to spend money on a scanner if you don't want to. You can photograph everything. It's nice to do that. Now it was kind of fun because I had my niece here tonight, and she was like, "So what are you doing here?" She just sees my stacks of cards, and I said, "Well, I'm getting ready to scan a stack of cards." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" So I put the cards in the scanner and I kind of showed her, and the images popped up, and she's like, "Holy cow, that's pretty cool!" I'm like, I didn't think that that was even a thing. And I'm like, "Well, it's a volume game," and kind of showed her how I made the batch and the CSV file and stuff like that. And she just thought that she's 15, so it's only going to be so cool to her, right? It's not. I'm not inventing the next handbag, great handbag or anything, but but it was just fun. It was fun to have somebody like sort of outside of the knowledge of what we do kind of take a look at it and go, hey, that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. It's I appreciate the AI matching too from the database, because we were talking earlier today that I tested it out, doing the whole thing from my phone too. And the reason I did that is because I had a bunch of cards that I knew I would have to look up a little bit. So what I did is I just ran the first one through Card Dealer Pro, listed it, and then I copied from that on the rest of them. And
that's what I was. After you had messaged me about that, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, well, just do the one, and then you can just run with it from there.
Exactly
So,
what I did.
yeah. So see, that way we're the same. I I have the convenience of I'm in my office when I'm doing this stuff. It's my regular job, so it makes sense for me to just scan the cards, place the batch, and uplist them and upload them and be done.
Yeah.
Um, so as far as like figuring out how to travel with the photos, or do the photos at another time, it's not something that I really need to do.
Sure.
It'll be interesting at the national when we take the scanner with us, and we get back from the show at 8 o'clock, and we just sit there till midnight, just scanning racks of cards and
Yeah.
bagging them and dating them so they're ready. We gotta make sure we bring the supplies. We need bags and tape and all that stuff so that we have them ready when we bring them back to throw in the inventory.
Yeah, and what is great about it is, the scanner will do 200 cards in a couple minutes, so we can each throw a big batch through, and
Hmm.
then we each can go through Card
And
Dealer
work
Pro
on
on
them on
our
our own.
laptop and go. Like we can do
Yep.
it simultaneously, so we're not waiting for one person to do a bunch of stuff and then the next one. So
Yeah, well, and we could take turns too. We could hook a laptop up or whatever, or both laptops really, to the scanner and do it that way too. But yeah, I don't. It should be kind of nice to get. I listed quite a bit of stuff while I was at the national last year. Just one by one with the phone, of course.
mhm.
It was amazing how much stuff just sold over the few days I was there.
Sure, yeah,
So yeah, some of that stuff, especially like some of the show exclusives or the promo cards you get in packs and things like that. The sooner you get them up there, the more bucks you can get out of it.
yeah,
That first to go. Hey, speaking of which, you were talking about your spike in sales with 2024 tops and all that.
yeah.
I sent you the info on Topps Big League, right? Because
Big
that was
league,
one
yeah.
of our favorite sets. And they took pre-orders this morning. Did you see what happened?
It sold out.
Sold out. I'm like, what in
Yeah.
the hell? So,
Good thing for
I
me is I am on vacation that week, so I can just go to our friends at Card and Coin and get a couple boxes that morning.
that's what I'm gonna do too. I was in there today. I bought some more. I bought the last two boxes of the movie Motion Vision. I think I showed you these before.
Yeah.
Um, $19 a box. I couldn't pass it up. Anyway, I asked him about that too. He's like, yeah. He said, I'll have some. It's no big deal. You can pop in. He's like, it's not like a super hot product here. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my intention too, is to just pick one up. I'd rather give him the business anyway. If he gets a couple bucks out of it, that's fine too. The other nice thing about those boxes, that was part of that Boys and Girls Club buy for him. So I was like that because some of that money is going to go back to that deal he has with the Boys and Girls Club. So it's nice to
Okay, good.
buy the things local if you can.
Yeah. Well,
So we're about to.
we should probably jump in the chat a little bit so we don't get too far behind tonight.
I was literally just going to say that. I was going to say, well, we're 24 minutes in, so. All right, we've got Mr. MD Sports Cards with us. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. You have to let us know how the show was for you this past Saturday. That's Stuart posted here. He said, let's go. Attaboy, the stew man. Bill has joined us. What's up, y'all, or all? I guess either way. Matt Marg is here. Excuse me, Matt Marg. I think that's A, right? I don't have my glasses on. You have to forgive me. Yo, fellas. At least you didn't call us gentlemen. Good job.
Yeah.
Bill busted me right away. I was telling Charlie this before we started. I said, I've had things happening and I just have not been able to put any videos up. So I pretty much finished my show video, which takes me the longest, especially now that I shoot more continuously with a bigger SD card.
Yeah.
I've got that pretty much done. I'm doing some voiceover stuff because there was so much music there that I don't feel like going in and trying to edit out the license stuff. And I thought I could use a little bit more instruction on what I was doing with some of these buys. But anyway, so that one, I was going to get that up today, and I ended up just taking the afternoon off. I haven't done that in since I've started doing this full time in July-ish. So I decided to do that, and I hung out with my niece for a little while, who was off of school for spring break, and yeah, so I did not put that video up today because normally that I would put that up in the morning of the live chat day, and then tomorrow I do the pickups video. Pickups video shot. That doesn't take much editing, and it's not too difficult to upload. So Maybe I'll put them both out tomorrow. We'll see. Then you can just watch the show video and then watch the pickups. Maybe that would be fun. I've never done that before. Just throw two up at once. And then I'm hoping to, because tomorrow's Thursday, so I'd do those two, and then Friday maybe do a sales day video, where I'd show what I sold on Thursday. Those are getting harder and harder to do as I sell more and more, though. Most of the time, I just try to give you a chunk of it. I don't want to show the whole thing. And now with the Patreon, I'm trying to have some content that's available just at the Patreon level too. So I think that's going to be my plan for those going forward. Would be here's some of my sales from today, and make it just the 20 minutes or the 25 minutes or whatever that people can actually tolerate on YouTube.
Right.
And then just put the long version on the Patreon. So, and thank you to those who have joined the Patreon. I really appreciate it. I've put some content out there, and again, I think it's going to kind of pair with my normal content on YouTube. I'm just going to have extra content on there. It's kind of my goal at this point. Maybe do some polls and a few extra things on there. I did create a chat in there, a text chat. So if you want to chat with me directly, like when your internet goes down, you need to chat with your internet company. Like you could do that with me now, but don't chat with me about your internet. But just to give you an example.
Right.
Yeah. More YouTube videos coming for sure. Just hasn't happened yet this week. So show videos are extremely time consuming to put together. I know everybody loves them. I like them too. It's filming it isn't necessarily hard. I just wear the thing on my chest and have my day, and then try to get out of it what I can get out of it. I did have another file corrupt. Yeah, different SD card, and they corrupted in this one too. It was a little tiny chunk of a file, so it's not going to affect the video.
Maybe you need to start pausing it when you go to the restroom, and then it won't corrupt.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Shocking. Yeah. So anyway, we'll just let that one. I'll just leave that one sit. But yeah, so they're just a little bit more time consuming, and I got through about half of the voiceover today, so it'll only take me about an hour tomorrow, and I'll have it up. So I'll do that, and I'll get the pickups up, and you can see how that went. But outside of that, we did have some pretty good sales there. We got a really nice spot to sell from.
Yeah.
I was pretty happy with it, and even after I pulled 300 cards or so out of the boxes that I knew I could now sell online for more than a dime, I was convinced that I'm not going to sell any of these cards at this show, and I sold a ton. So yeah. I don't know. It's interesting how that goes, but it's kind of like you said earlier about eBay, right? There's this ups and these downs, and I'm not going to sell that. Well, you don't know. You just need somebody who wants to buy it.
Yeah. I mean, the guy who hit mine hard was I talked to him a little bit about what are you looking for today, and he's like, just for fun, I'm putting together a bunch of brewer sets. So he bought, a bunch of tear out cards from a commemorative set I had from when it was Miller Park, and he bought every single one of those plus some other ones, and they've been in there every show we've gone to. So you just never know when that person's going to come along. We always say our job is to find a forever home for these cards, and it might take a while, but we'll find them.
We used to talk about when I worked in real estate. That was one of the things we talked about too. When people get nervous when they want to sell their home, like, well, nobody's going to want to buy it because all you see in your house is your problems, right?
Yeah.
And so people will say, well, no one's going to want to buy my house. Well, or there's the opposite. My house was too good for somebody else to own. But those people, you can't help those people. But the ones that are like, well, I don't think it's going to, and I said, all you need is one person who likes this house. That's it. You don't need 1,000 people interested in it. I mean, that helps. You can get more money then, but you could have 200 people walk through here, and as long as one of them says, hey, I'll pay you what you want for your house, you're good. So, yeah, you just need somebody to pony up that dime. And I liked that spot. I think it was good for us. We had light. Light was a challenge at this show.
That was big.
So for us with dig boxes, it matters to have light. But yeah, I was crazed at how much, I had that one guy buy like 600 cards or something like that.
Yeah.
Out of my boxes. I'm like, what the hell are you buying? I took everything out of there with a real name player, but um, yeah, he saw value in it. I gave him a decent deal on it, and he got some stuff he liked. And that wasn't the only big order. I had another like 100 card order, pickup. It was nice. It was nice splitting the table fee. It was a little bit cheaper that way. It was nice for us. You could go around for a little bit, and I went around for a little bit, and we were able to sort of split some duties a little bit. So yeah, I was very pleased with that. I'd go back and do that show again at the distillery. The food was really good. I've never eaten there before, so I was happy with that too. It was nice to have like food.
Yeah.
Normally we're at the KI and there's nothing there. You got to bring a bag of pretzels and some drinks and some donuts, and that's about all you get. So what was your impression? How did you like the show? It was kind of the first time we did anything outside of the KI.
Yeah, the only negative I had was the lighting. Now we were fortunate to be along those windows, like you said, but if you were on the other side of that kind of music hall room, it was tough to see. That was the first area I started in when we got there in the morning. And I was digging in boxes, and I had to look 2-3 times sometimes because it was just so dark and shady on that side. But everything else was great. Plenty of room, which we ended up needing because that place was packed at times.
Yeah.
We
before the show started.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was. Hopefully they'll do some more there because I thought that was a good venue. You've got Lambeau Field and the Don Hudson Center and the Rush Center all in view from your tables. It's a good setting. There's other restaurants right around there, Buffalo Wild Wings and
good amount of parking. Parking was close. You didn't have to go to a ramp or do any of that. It was easy in, easy out. They had some nice music, and yeah, I was very, very happy with it. I got some really good cards there. There were some good dealers there. I found some good deals. But yeah, I saw some people walking around with their cell phones with the flashlight on, like trying to look in case. I felt I'm sorry for the guys that have, the good stuff in cases and that, where you're really going to want to look at it. If you're going to buy a $200 card, you really want to take a look at it, and couldn't really get a good view of corners and things like that with the way the lighting was. But that's how it goes sometimes. If it wasn't as overcast today, it might have been not as bad too.
Yeah, maybe.
So we'll see. But I have a feeling we could be back there again at some point. The KI can be challenging because there's a lot of other events that go on in Green Bay, where we just can't get the space there. But Matt does a pretty good job. I'm very happy with how Matt does his shows. He always checks in on us, makes sure we're doing okay. KI comes around with some sodas and water because he knows there's nowhere to buy anything there, and helps us out. So lets us pay a day of the show. I like that. We kind of get our reserved spot every month. There's value and stuff like that at the bigger shows. So I think, was it the Chicago Spectacular was this weekend or it's next weekend maybe? So if anybody went to that, I want to kind of know how that went. I went to one of those a long time ago, and I didn't really like it.
That was a big weekend, right? Because we talked about it last week. Some folks asked if we were going to that.
Yeah, and it's something I'm considering going back to, just because I'm a different buyer now than I was then. I'm considering going back to it just to kind of see, if I get enough out of it. It's Chicago, so it's got some expense. Parking, and you got to pay to get in, and then of course it's a 3.5-hour drive and tolls, and all that stuff sort of piles up on itself, and it's really got to be worth it. So I don't know. We'll see. So if anybody went, let us know, if you would please, how that went. All right, back to the chat. Sophie Joe says, "Good evening, all. Good evening, Mr. Joe."
I see Joe a lot in the Discord.
Yep. Yeah, he's been very active in there, which is great. Art Green has joined us. Welcome, Art. Picking orders while I watch. Good evening, all. That's great. Doing work while you're entertained. That's my favorite. Discord, not YouTube. Sorry. Oh, no YouTube video this week. Discord, not YouTube. Well, this Discord is there. We've put the Discord up a while ago. So if you haven't joined it yet, Bill, I don't think I've seen Bill post on there, so I'm guessing he's not on there yet. Go ahead and jump in there. Like I said, it's scrolling on the bottom of the screen if you want to use the invite code. Otherwise, you can just simply go to Discord and look up the dollar box, and you should be able to find me. DJ and Terp, I saw her. I think it's her, he. I don't know. This person. It's so hard. We don't know. Like we don't.
Yeah, screen
personally,
names are tough to decipher sometimes.
Yeah, I shouldn't make assumptions. Anyway, evening all. Hoping you guys had a good show this weekend. We did. We just talked about that. Thank you very much.
We don't even know if we're saying that right. It could be DJ Enterp.
You're right. It could be. Yeah, it certainly could be. So yeah, feel free to correct me if I'm an idiot. It happens a lot. So I take no offense. Troy says it's Wednesday.
That's
it
right.
Sure is. Huh?
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So this person says, now I'm all self-conscious about it. I noticed I added another percent to my promoted. It went up for the first 2 weeks, and I add more items daily, but the promoted impressions has been way down this week for me. Yeah, and again, that kind of bounces around based on what's going on and how many new sellers are out there. So I was thinking about this past week, and actually somebody outside of this group had asked me about competition heating up, selling on eBay, and blah blah blah. And I said, you know what? It's such a grind game that not that many people are going to do it because they just don't feel like working that hard for 50 cents that long to start to see real returns where you've been doing it long enough and you've got enough listings up and things like that. But I don't even look at the percents of my promoted. I don't look at, you guys are going to think I'm nuts. Like, hey, you're running a business, look at that. No, because I sell a ton of stuff and I make a good amount of money. So that's kind of where I keep my focus, and the promotion causes me to get more sales. So you got to pay it. I also look at the percentage versus what I'm selling something for, and it doesn't change my mind enough. It doesn't affect it enough, right? So let's say you sell a card for $2 and your promoted now went up 1%. Well, that's 2 cents, right? So I don't really care if I had to give eBay 2 more cents this time in order to get that sale.
Right.
And you should be, as you're gaining a customer base and you're building a brand and you're not the lowball discount seller on eBay, you should be able to increase your prices slightly over time and still get that business. Start getting more multiple card orders where those expenses don't affect you as much because you're saving on the shipping and the supplies and all that stuff. Try to kind of focus on that. If you got to pay this 1% more to get the sales that you need to get to keep moving forward, that's life. So I can complain all day long that the price of my dog's food went up from last month, but I still got to feed my dog, right?
Yeah.
So if you really want to combat it, if you're charging $1.50 for a card, then you raise your price to $1.75. And then essentially your customer is just paying for that promoted price. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Charlie?
Yeah, so we kind of talked about that a little bit at the beginning of the show too. Is that you can't worry about all the numbers all the time, right? Like you have to look at the big picture instead of the daily, and it's definitely harder to do that early on. I remember talking to you when I first started. I was like, man, I listed this card 2 weeks ago. It hasn't sold yet. And you're like, yeah, some of them aren't going to do that.
They can't all be winners right off the bat,
Yeah. So I think a lot of it needs to be set it and forget it. That's why we use the dynamic promotions as well. Because then it takes away all that anxiety every day of what should I adjust it to today, and Just let the system do the work for you.
And that's one of the reasons, we're here, and I wanted to do this, was to say I've been through some of this, so you guys don't have to go through this. Just make sure you're using these tools, your promotions, or and things will happen. You just kind of have to trust the system, and
yeah,
you got to make your adjustments and your changes, and adding. I never thought I would have a scanner yet. There it is. It's literally right there. I can see it. Um, you have to roll with those punches a little bit too, but as long as you're shipping, you're listing, you're providing customer service, you're getting positive feedbacks, you're packing your cards well, you're getting good inventory, you're pricing correctly, like the things that absolutely have to happen to get sales, as long as you're doing those things, they will happen. You can't, just like Charlie said earlier, you can't force it. You can try to put it in front of a buyer, but you can't make them buy.
right.
And they might not buy today, but they might come back tomorrow and buy it. So,
and I mentioned this in the Discord earlier today or yesterday. I think it was this morning. I look at it as a percentage of my overall listings are going to sell every, kind of time period, whatever you want to set that at, 30 days or whatever. And I usually I expect about 10% of my inventory to be hot and in action, people looking at it, things like that, exchanging offers at any one point in time, So I'm going to have thousands of cards that nobody looks at for a while, but each card will have its day, hopefully, and it'll be in that hot zone for that 10% at some point. And then that's when you want to take action the most, when you're sending offers and doing counters and stuff like that, and deciding how bad do I want to move this card, and what do I have into it. That's when you want to spend most of your energy thinking about that, I think, versus when it's a card that you can do all you want, but still nobody's going to look at it for 2 months,
Well, and eventually you'll get to the point too where you're not thinking, well, geez, I'm not getting enough sales, and the sales will just be. I was at Chipotle today having lunch, and it was just, oh, I sold this. Oh, I didn't even know I had that card.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there with my niece, and she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, people are buying my stuff. So, and then you might go a 2-hour period of time not having anything, or a day period of time if you're a real small seller. So, but for me, it's like every 10 to 15 minutes, I've got something going out the door. So you'll get to the point where you'll really be able to see some big rewards for your hard work, for sure. But if it doesn't happen day one, it's a grind job, big time.
And I want to clarify something I said there. When I talk about 10% of my inventory actually, in motion, turning, and some interest, I don't mean that same 10% of my listings all the time. It's a revolving 10%. Like, that card could be in that 10% window that's getting a lot of views and clicks and stuff like that today, but then out of that 10% tomorrow, and it didn't sell yet, and another card takes its place. Right. It's constantly cycling depending on who your cards are getting in front of in the algorithm.
If you're going for through a whole day and you're not getting any offers, you don't have any offers to send, you're not getting any sales, then that seems like something you probably want to review some of what you're doing. Because then there's probably some things you're missing, or your price too high, or whatever the case may be. That's for you to assess. Use your eBay tools and your dashboards, and your percentages and things like that. Just like you said with your impressions, take a look at some of that stuff and see if, and maybe I'm missing something here, because that's not where it should be. But I can tell you my impressions, for how many listings I have, my impressions go up and down at times too. So it's just how it is.
The other thing too, again, looking at the comment, they manually added another percent to their promoted. Well,
right.
That still might not be enough to get you up near the top of the impressions. That's, again, why we use the dynamic. Yes, we're going to pay more on some cards. But at the same time, we sell tons of cards every week that don't even pay any promoted fees.
Right, correct. The goal is to not pay any promotions. That is the goal. But it's not realistic to run your entire operation without promotions, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, employ whatever level you want to take your promotions to, and then focus on building your customers so that they come to you to buy instead of going to eBay to buy and finding you, and then it's costing you money because eBay found your buyer. Yeah, that's probably the best course of action. But
Think
yeah,
about
I've only ever set mine up as dynamic, and I've never looked back. So
your average card in your inventory too. When you go to list it, if you're someone who looks at some of the comps, or at least in the process of listing, you click on the link for eBay to show you recent sales. Do you see a lot on your typical card, or are there very few competing cards out there? And I think with us in kind of that low end commons world, a lot of times, usually it's very competitive. Like I can list 100 cards today, and every one of those cards has another 20 cards listed in the same, $1.99 price range. Well, the more competition you're seeing for that card you're listing, the more you're going to want to think about promoting it to get it at the front of the list when somebody's out there on Google, right? Or whatever they're looking at. If you've got a card that you're like, heck, I can barely find a comp for this, you probably don't need to promote it as much. But I think the majority of what we talk about doing here are low-end cards where there's a lot of them out there. The dynamic makes sure that it puts us in a premium tier to get it out in front of more people, to hopefully be the one they buy from when they could buy it from 100 different other people.
Right. And that takes time too. I mean, even just to build your feedback up and your customer base up and your followers so you can send coupons, and your, subscribers to your store so you can send them newsletters. Like that's, unless you're buying somebody out and getting into a turnkey business,
Yeah.
it's, you have to separate yourself. Hot pause though. We have 40 viewers currently right now. I think that's the most we've ever had at one time. Or I think we were at like 42 for like a minute or two there.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, especially to the live. It's way more fun to have live viewers. Those who are watching us after the live, we appreciate you as well. But yeah, the more that can make it live, the more fun it is, I think, as well. And if you got a quick minute and you're enjoying the content, you like being here, please consider giving us a thumbs up. We appreciate the likes as well. It helps the channel grow. So anyway, little sidebar there, but yeah, I think at this point where I'm at, so many cards are in and so many cards are out. I don't even know what's there necessarily. Not in my brain anymore. I just look at positive trends. Are my sales numbers going up? Is my quarterly, sales going up? Am I getting a bigger paycheck? But spending the same on new inventory. Am I having growth? Am I experiencing growth? Growth I can handle. Then I feel like everything else will just fall into place. Excuse me. Like I said, if nothing is happening, then you need to go back and reevaluate some things and probably make some changes, because that shouldn't happen. Art says the start of March has been absolutely popping for him. Really motivating to keep pushing and getting some monster multi-card orders of late. Awesome. Yeah, me too. I have a lot of regular customers that come in, and as soon as I'm posting new stuff, boom, they jump on it and buy it. So
Yeah.
there's a huge appetite for cards. Get cards regularly, list regularly, put out, give things to your customers to buy at fair prices, and you'll get them gone. A lot of my customers at this point, even ones that the first orders I did with them where they were sending offers, they don't even bother anymore.
Yeah.
They know they're going to get good cards from me. They know I'm going to ship them the next day. They know if they buy enough, they've got a coupon code to use, and boom, they just pay for them. They just buy them at my, fair listed price, and everybody's happy. So you'll eventually get more money out of cards too, if the way you do this is the way I do it, where trying to build yourself a brand and separate yourself from the lowest end of the pot, scraping the bottom kind of seller. And there's nothing wrong with being that kind of seller either. It's just not my goal. So if you're kind of playing it the same way I am, just keep treating those customers right, and you'll get them on for more orders in the future for sure. And handle your customer service. If they tell you they didn't get a card, refund them. Look into it. I've been filing the claims regularly on eBay. As soon as it says it was delivered and it's the wrong zip code, I get a message from the customer and I'm like, yep, no problem. Here's your money back. And boom, I send it right over to eBay to be refunded. And I've sent evidence to Charlie of this on quite a few occasions. Get the money back within 24 hours into your PayPal account and you move on. So, do your side of things correctly, and then your insurance and your other things will come through for you and keep you whole in the meantime. Johnny M has joined us. Probably like an hour ago, Johnny joined us. Good evening. Just curious, with the amount of listings you have, do you anticipate grossing over 200K this year? It's hard. I try not to talk too much about like specific dollars or anything. I got to think about this for a little bit. I don't think it would be 200K. No. Gross. I'm thinking probably closer to like that 150-ish range. Is more realistic. Because you have to remember, it's still growing over time. So, even where I'm at, and remember, listings don't pay you. Sales do. So you could you could shove 40,000, junk cards through a scanner and get them all listed. And if you're not selling any of those, or they just don't have a wide enough interest to get enough sales, you're not going to hit that mark. But yeah, the way I look at it is I can still pretty much double where I'm at, maybe a little less than double at this point because I'm at about 37,000 listings. Wherever I'm at today, if I can double that, we're doing very well. So, yeah, it's good to have goals going forward. I don't necessarily have like a gross income goal. I look at it more as a growth in sales, and whatever gross number in sales that ends up taking me to, and that's what it takes me to. I can't really change it. So, keep listing, keep shipping, keep listing. That's really the only thing you can do, and use all your tools. So, how about you, Charlie? You gonna hit 200K this year?
Not even close.
Okay. Fun Corner is here. Charlie, do you use a scanner for your listing? What do you use, Charlie?
Yeah, I use a combination of a scanner and a phone. So Fun Corner actually had a question a little bit earlier too. We glossed over it accidentally. But Fun Corner just got a scanner today, and
here we go.
and wants to know if there's any way to get the lines off the penny sleeves.
Huh.
So, interesting.
I scan raw.
Yeah. So, we've only had the scanner a few weeks now, a couple weeks maybe.
Like 3 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So realistically, we're still in kind of that testing phase as well. In fact, Adam probably gets annoyed with me sending my test results on different cards and stuff all the time.
I was really shocked how well the acetates do, and
I know, and like this was a test card too. I was like, well, it's all contained in the middle. Maybe it'll scan. Nope, this one didn't.
No.
But the acetates did. So I have not done a full scale test in sleeves or top loaders yet. I've scanned everything raw. Well, in fairness, I sent one penny sleeved card through, and that was a fail, but I sent it through vertical, and I think I understand now that you should be sending it through horizontal, because the one I sent through, the penny sleeve kind of bunched up on it, so I wasn't able to use the scan. But so Adam and I have experienced the lines. I would tell you a couple things on that. One, I think through the testing process, I'm going to assume they have before they ship them. The rollers are likely going to get some residue on them from that, and I don't know that they clean them again before they ship it. because Adam and I, in one of the first few batches we did, we started seeing some lines as well. And it was more noticeable after a large batch of white backed cards, like pure white cards. And then when we went to some colored, like black border cards and stuff like that, we started to see some lines. What we did then is we cleaned all the rollers off. The scanner should have came with some wipes and a microfiber drying cloth. So there's like 3 sets of rollers on each side of the feeder. If you clean those off, that should clean it up. Now that we've been using it a while, I've maybe had to stop and do that one other time when I was listing a lot of pure white cards. But we have not done enough testing on true penny sleeve feeding through there to know if you're getting the same type of lines on that. But I would start with a good cleaning. There's that bottom set of rollers is kind of hidden underneath, so make sure you get those as well.
And yeah, I don't know if you'd even tried to do raw scanning yet, but why are you scanning them in penny sleeves and not raw? Is there a reason for that? I've scanned probably a couple thousand at this, well, definitely, well, almost a couple thousand raw, and I've never had an issue, including vintage and other things. The only reason I would think to use a penny sleeve is if you wanted to scan something that's not a regular shaped card, so like a die cut or a mini or something like that. Maybe you would want to do that just to get it through to give it the regular size scan. But I don't know that if that'll work too good anyway, if the card doesn't really fill up the sleeve. So might want to just try to do them raw and see how that works for you. You should not get the lines then either. Now we're screwed next month because we're going to be getting big league baseball, so we're going to be cleaning those damn rollers every 3 batches.
Yeah.
those were the bad ones because those are pure white. So they must be like bleached paper or whatever. And they do leave a little bit of white on the rollers.
Yeah.
So okay.
It's almost like the old days of gunpowder, right? Like when you used to have
gum. That's kind of what it reminded me of too. Yeah. Or like chalk, like a chalky candy, right? You know, it leaves that little bit of like chalk trail to it. That's interesting. That's like the only brand of, or the only set of cards that I had that problem with too. So
yeah,
I've scanned tons of 1993 tops and other white card products, and it hasn't happened. So I don't know. Keith is here. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome, Keith. Happy to have you here. Do you guys get small print lines on penny sleeves? Yeah, we just kind of went over that. Kendall replied and said that's likely some dust in your scanner. Just use a microfiber cloth and clean the lens. Excuse me. That's what we said too. We didn't really clean the lens. We found cleaning the rollers was what really did the trick. So, but
yeah,
can't hurt to do both either.
I can actually see the hazy discoloration on the rollers when I open it up when we're getting this.
Yeah, we can see like a white line going along the roller. 60% of the time it works every time. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Dad and Sons has joined us. I was at the Eau Claire show this past Saturday. Do you ever go to that one? We went to the smaller one. We thought we were going to the bigger one, I guess. Kind of my bad, I guess. But we had a great experience even at the smaller show. And the shop there was great. We bought a lot of stuff from them. But yeah, we would love to go back to the best. I think it's the Best Western show now, right? Is where they have their phone. But yeah, we talked to some people that were there, and it seemed to be a pretty good show for them. So it's a good haul for us. So we, the real commitment, 3-hour drive, whatever the heck it is. So we might save that one for a little bit better weather time of year to go back. But yeah, I'd go back there, and we have viewers there, and we have some dealers that we know that go there. So yeah, I think that's something we go back to, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, but there's shows everywhere. We're way super spoiled where we are. Like you could go to Madison one weekend, you can go to Milwaukee another weekend, you can go to Oak Creek and then Eau Claire and then Stevens Point and then Green Bay and then um, to be honest with you, if we have a show on the same day in Green Bay, it just makes more sense for us to go to the show in Green Bay.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's close. It doesn't eat up an entire day. Easy for us to set up, take down, things like that. So our families, can still be involved for the day. So yeah, barring that event, I think we could end up at another Eau Claire show. MD says year to date it was my best show. A ton of pickups and plenty of sales. Had a lot of nice walk-ups. It's really weird because I didn't think it would be as busy there as the KI show is, but it was just packed. But I've been hearing that about shows all across the country, though. There's been other YouTube creators that have done videos on, oh, look at this amazing card show, and everybody was there. And part of that is the time of year. There's not as much going on. There isn't a lot of major sports things going on. It's not nice outside. Well, where we are, it's not nice outside. So people aren't out doing soccer yet and baseball and all those things. Those things are coming soon. But this is still kind of that time of year where they can just be inside and go to a show. We'll see if that continues throughout July, and things like that, where people have lots of other options. Bill says it's next weekend. I think he's referring to the Chicago show, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bargain Boxer says he'll be there. It'll be pricey. Yeah, that's the thing for me, because I'd be going there mainly for business, so I'd want to make sure that it's my worth my investment. $500 a table. Yeah, I wouldn't be getting a table, not with my dime boxes. I could sell all my dime boxes out and still not have enough money to pay the table fee. 15th to the 17th. What are you guys best-selling players and teams on eBay? Iverson sells great for me, along with Yankees. Which is interesting because I don't sell a lot of Iverson. I buy some here and there, and it doesn't do that well. I sell some here and there, but it's not been one of my biggest ones.
Yeah.
But by far, for me, it's football stuff. It's Brett Favre is number one, but I stock the most of that. Brady is right up there. Patrick Mahomes. I sell a ton of Nolan Ryan, Cal Ripken, Chipper. I stick to more of the kind of those 90 star players, and those do really well for me. Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, it's kind of similar for me, and I sell quite a bit of baseball, but that's because I've got more baseball in the store than anything else.
If you have it, you're going to have more sales of it, right? You know what I mean? It kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So, but a lot of those same guys, guys I grew up watching are guys I pick up. So again, Henderson, Nolan Ryan, modern players, Aaron Judge still sells quite a bit. Of course, Shohei,
Ohtani,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Trout still sells. Not as good as he did when I started this a year ago, but he populates the sales here and there. Yeah, and then there's some surprise things that every once in a while I see a run on, like Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has sold a bunch of cards for me, and I wasn't sure if he would sell it all for me when I started picking them up,
And I think that's one of the keys, and I've been talking about this the past few weeks, but I feel like the more cards you have of a player, the better you're going to do, because you're giving the buyer an opportunity to buy more than one card, which usually will save them some money. So I think that's important. If you're like, all right, I'm going to try some Joel Embiid. Well, don't buy 2 cards. Try to buy like 15 or 20 cards. They don't have to be super high end. And, you can still buy them out of a 50-cent box or $1 box or whatever, but try to get a little bit of quantity. Because for sales, for me, it's mostly player driven over anything else. Yeah. And if you ask most people, well, if I wanted to ask you about your personal collection, Charlie, how would I ask you?
About my personal collection?
Yeah.
You would just ask me, who do I collect?
Right. Who?
Yeah.
That's a person's name, right? You don't say, what team do you collect? I'm not saying there aren't team collectors or anything like that by any measure, but most people, that's actually Panini's slogan even. Who do you collect?
Yeah.
So that's why I've always been very, very name driven. Most people I know, no, we're trying to appeal to a collector because we're selling a low end card. We're not really selling to flippers and investors and all that for the most part. So I always think about who do people collect, and then that kind of helps me focus on what I want to buy,
Yeah.
what I want to stock. Because you can say all day long, well, I love these Bucks players, so I'm going to buy all these Bucks cards. But if your customers don't want those, it doesn't really matter, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of, and some of you guys are newer. I get that. You know, you don't really have necessarily a customer profile yet, but when you get customers that want certain cards or buying certain players, that's the stuff that you should be stocking then. So you have to kind of take your bias out of it and just buy what you think will actually sell.
Don't underestimate your regular customers too, because Adam and I talk about this all the time. Like, what sells we can have the same listings in our stores, and he may sell 10 copies of it, and I might be sitting on 10 cards of it for months, right? Like, Iverson's a great example. You just said you don't sell much Iverson. I've had runs on Iverson in my store. You know, it's weird.
Yeah, I definitely sell one here or there, but I haven't had anybody put like a 10 card Iverson order together. You know,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of that draw, and maybe I just don't have the right cards. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. But it is, I think it does come down to the names. I mean, I saw some NASCAR. I'm looking down at orders I picked before we got on the show to ship out tonight. Dale Earnhardt, his car. Dale Earnhardt's a legend, right? Messi, you know, I sell every one of these I get when I beat Adam to the box.
Stay out of my soccer boxes.
Bryce Harper going out, you know.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Bryce Harper.
Caleb Williams going out. Here's the surprise of the day. Josh Hamilton. I've had this card for months. I've tried to sell it at shows. This is a short print. Finally sold today, out of the blue.
Yeah. Well, we got baseball season coming up, so.
What's been hot for me recently is some of these vintage cards. Like, these are 74 tops. Those have been going pretty regularly for me.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of vintage. And now with the scanner, man, that's the easiest card to list.
Yeah.
There's no variations. There can be variations. I had some show up. I did some 60s football, and it was like cream colored back. It kept loading in the card. I'm like, it's not a cream colored back. It's just a normal back. So, you got a little bit of tweaking there, but not nearly as much as the modern. So.
And the vintage for me seems to be more common to go in multi-card orders.
Right, because it's set builders and team builders, and you're appealing to more of the old school collector. That's where it's different than who do you collect, then it's what do you collect. Well, I collect all players that wear a Wilson glove. I collect, all players who once played in a Texas high school. Like, that's where you start getting like these weirdy theme type of things, and then it's just stock whatever, because you don't know how you're going to hit those targets.
Yeah.
For those customers, but yeah, they'll generally, if they can find a spot where they can find a few cards that they need for the way they collect, they'll buy them all together. I also get a lot less offers and have to send offers on vintage. I get a lot of just buy and tip, which is kind of nice. I don't mind negotiating, and in fact, I enjoy a good part of that. But it's nice once in a while to just get a full price sale and be done with it, especially on multiple cards.
That reminds me of a conversation today with a buyer, because I agree, like, my vintage stuff goes at list price 90% of the time. And I think a lot of it, like players that aren't big names, I have a lot of them listed at $2.99, which isn't, expensive by any means. And I had someone offer me $1 today, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm fine with holding on to this card.
Yeah, you're gonna get. I don't care if you list the card at $15, you're gonna get a lot of $1 offers on cards all day long. And that's just, like I said, it's just part of it. And you get a couple options there. You can just flat out decline it because it's probably not going to work out between you and the buyer. Or you can, at least cut a little bit out of it and send it to them. Sometimes I think that there's certain buyers that just automatically send $1 just because why not? If you'll take it, sure.
Yeah.
But they don't really expect to get the card at $1. They're just trying to get you to go to your lowest price.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but yeah, if I have it listed at $1.99 and they offer me $1, I counter at $1.89, and that's it. And then they might come back at $1.79. Okay, I'll take that. If they come back again at $1, we're probably done here.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Not everything is going to be able to work out in a deal. DJ says I am a he, and you can call me Dan if you would like.
Oh,
All right, Dan, we got it. So Dan, so the D stands for Dan, apparently. So that's good to know. Oh, also, Bill says he's on the Discord. He's under Savagery or whatever, and I do recognize that name. I didn't know that was you, Bill.
Sure.
So we're trying to figure all this out as we go. So
we're gonna have to cross list all the screen names.
Yeah, right. We appreciate everyone's patience while we work through our issues over here. Jimmy Croft has joined us. Am I late? Never. We go all night, buddy. I hope you brought the pizza and the beer.
Yeah.
So just starting out, do you recommend promoting? I have 300 listings. Yeah, of course. Try to get some sales. Promoting, you can do that at any time. One of the beautiful parts about promoting, and I've talked, I don't know, maybe I've mentioned it on here, but I've definitely talked about it with Charlie, is you don't pay anything unless something sells.
Yeah.
So all they're doing is taking a part of your profit. You don't have to give them any money, so why not promote it? Like I said, if you go, well, if I promote it, then I'm not going to make enough money on this card. Well, then raise the price. Like you have to try to make it work, I guess, is the best thing to do. But yeah, start those promoted listings. In fact, you need promoted listings more than I do, right? Because you don't have a brand yet. You don't have any customer base. You don't have that much feedback. You are the one who really needs to, if you want to take this seriously and do the growth and all that, you're the one who's going to need to sort of pay out more and get in front of some eyes. Whereas I just have customers who will just come buy stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, think about that a little bit, and yeah, I would definitely come up with some sort of policy, or what do they call it when it's promoted? When you have your promoted thing set up, it's
standard listings promoted.
Yeah, that's what it is. But it's, I don't know. You're making a template for what you'll pay for promotions and stuff.
Your business policy.
Yeah, I was going to say policy, but that's not it either. That's not the word I'm thinking of. But anyway, I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So
yeah, and the one thing we both do to a similar extent is I would add that we don't typically promote it on day one of listing.
That's true. Good point.
Especially if it's a fairly hot product, a hot name that's in the news and doing something good. There's enough attention already. I usually don't promote it until the 30-day mark. Adam, I think you might be a little different on that, but neither of us promote it on day one when we list it. We give it a chance to sell organically.
Yeah, and I sell a ton immediately when I list, because I have customers that are watching my store for certain items or certain players that they know I carry, and I really don't have to do anything. I just list it and boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
Which is lovely. That's exactly where you want to get to. But that didn't happen day one for me, I can assure you that. But yeah, I'm generally like 2 weeks, because I have so many listings that I want to keep. To me, to give up a little bit of money on a sale, it really doesn't matter because I have so much volume, right?
Yeah.
That's where the game changes. So for me, I'd rather open up a lot of listings, because what I get more concerned about at this point is I'm going to max my listings out and then I have to sit there or make another decision. I have to spend more to get more listings, whatever the case may be. So I want stuff to sell. even if I have to take a little less than maybe I would have needed to take a while ago, based on volume, that's okay. That makes makes up the difference. So yeah, I pretty much kind of stick out my 2 weeks and then boom, I throw it in my promotions. Sometimes I screw it up and I'm doing a sell similar and it automatically goes to promoted right when I list it. And
I don't look to
is.
stop that. If I'm copying or doing a sell similar on something that's already promoted, I just let it go.
Yeah, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. Now, one thing that eBay does that is nice, if you're listing on a laptop or a desktop, there's a pre-sort, pre-filter on your listings page where it'll bucketize everything eligible for promotions that you do not have promoted, and it's a one-click thing. Click on that pre-sort, it's going to give you everything. What I do is a couple times a week, I go out there, once or twice really is all I do on this. I'll go out there, hit that pre-sort, that pre-filter, whatever you want to call it, and then I sort by start date, and I'll just take a whole page full of my oldest listings that are eligible and just put them on dynamic promotions. Easy peasy.
Yeah, it's not hard to turn on and it's not hard to turn off. If you change your mind later, you can delete the promotion as well. So
yeah.
Joe is here. He says, "What's up?" Nice. We got somebody to play along with our "What's up." I'm so excited. I live for that, Joe. He says the Discord name is Zeke's Cards and Collectibles.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I saw you posting yesterday. Weston says he still promotes uncommon cards because I think if someone just searches the player name that you're listing, still has a decent chance of popping up if you promote it, even though it's rare. Yeah, promotions just work. Okay. I don't at this point I don't really know how else to say it. It's just something that you have to do if you want to play the game. So
now, Weston, we did see some more rowdy cards this last weekend at the show.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say that. I got Weston, I need you to send me your address because I have something for you. And I'm going to hold on, I'm going to take because I want to show you this. Where is this? Pick this up for you at the show this weekend. It's not a brewer's uniform. I'm not sure if you're more of a rowdy collector or a brewer collector, but I found this game used jersey card in I think it was $1 box, and I ended up, paying 50 cents or whatever for the card. So I picked this up. I want to send it out to you. So if you want to send me your address on where I can, don't put it in this chat, but message me and I'll send this out to you right away. It was just ironic. It was a bunch of little, just random jersey cards, and Rowdy was in there, so I had to get it for you. So, yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy that. Back to the show. Let's see. When you put in, okay, Wisconsin Collectibles has a question for you. I can't, for whatever reason, I couldn't click on it. There we go. When you put in a custom SKU, hopefully I'm using the right term. The info you type in that only you can see as a seller, where does that show up when you sell? Well, that's the beauty of it. That was kind of one of the things I was concerned with at first too, but I fill my orders from my phone. So I just go in the app and I go to the sold listings and I go over to my drawers and I start pulling stuff out. And right under the item title and basically the item title, it'll have your SKU listed right there. So it's super easy. You don't have to click on it and open the listing or anything like that. Just has, I go by dates and bag number, and boom, it's right there. And even in an order of like 10 cards, all 10 cards are listed there, and it'll have, the SKU under each one. So it's super, super easy to find and fill the way I do it.
Yeah, here, I'll give you an example. Well, of course, it's white on a white background, so it looks a little different, but this is what you'll see in your orders. If you want to share it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't know what you're doing there. There we go. Oops, hold on. Let me get the question out of here. There we go.
Let me zoom in a little bit for you.
Yeah, that's tiny.
It is.
It kind of looks like a baby.
Yeah. Oh, it's making me zoom one at a time.
Oh,
I just
neat.
have it in the snipper. Control plus plus. Where's that? There we go. All right.
Yeah, the pump it up. There you go.
Pump it up, homeboy. Just don't stop. Sorry, I just flashed back to the 90s.
Yeah, there's your custom label SKU.
Yeah, so you can see it right here, right underneath your item title.
And that's basically the same way it looks in the app too. So
Yes.
I don't know where you're looking when you're filling those orders. So I think most people fill from the app just because it's mobile, right? You can bring it right over to your boxes or your drawers or wherever you're keeping your cards. But yeah, it looks virtually the same on desktop and the app.
Now,
So,
also a
pretty
nice
easy.
little tidbit on that is when you go to print your labels, underneath the label screen, not the label screen, what do I want to say? The summary screen, there will be a pick list, and the SKU, custom SKU, does list in the pick list as well.
Correct. Oh, jeez. I had to get up a little earlier today because I took the afternoon off. So literally, I didn't take any time off.
I just thought my technical talk was boring you.
It is. It is, Charlie. It really is. How does Charlie, or how does Stu feel about it? No more technical talk. Yes, use custom SKUs. It's been a kind of a lifesaver when you get to a certain level of growth. It's pretty much required. How many hours in a week has a scanner and CDP been saving you since now you have one? It's faster than listing with my phone. It's not like lightning compared to a snail's crawl.
Yeah.
But I would say, especially vintage, I think the biggest difference maker for me, which this is gonna sound weird, but it's causing me to list cards that I just kind of set aside and I never really list. Because the scanner really does the not fun cards for me, essentially.
Yeah.
Where I can just throw them in a batch. It's a bunch of vintage. I don't really care who the names are. Nobody's really searching after these cards hardcore like some of the shinies or the number cards. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is it just lets me throw them through and get the stuff done that I wouldn't normally focus on listing. But yeah, definitely save some time. Now you have to remember that this scans at this amount of speed. That's awesome. Okay, CDP does this and it loads it and it's this fast, right? There's still things you're going to have to do with your batch in most cases.
Yeah.
You still have some extra time to invest. You got to get the CSV file. You got to upload it to eBay. If you have an error there, you have to go correct that card and list it or pull it or whatever you're going to do. So there's like stuff that can still pop up. But yeah, it's certainly a time saver that way. You got a big long box of vintage. You can do an 800 count vintage box in hour and a half maybe.
Yeah.
Versus that might take you 3 or 4 hours if you're listing with your phone, doing it 40-45 seconds per listing. The other reason I like it with vintage is the AI is great. Card Dealer Pro pretty much recognizes every vintage card. And also, like, I don't really want to look them all up. So I don't know a lot of the players in the vintage and the cards. So that pricing tool, I can just click pricing. Great, I'm in line. This one's ready to upload. Ooh, this is a rookie card. I didn't realize that. This thing goes for $20. Great, put $20 in. So that's the thing that actually speeds up more for me than just like taking a photo, hitting the drop boxes and uploading. It takes the research time away for me. So
it's funny you mentioned the rookie thing because in the grand scheme of things, the RC badge is a relatively recent innovation in card printing, right? Like,
yep.
You're right. So this past weekend, I bought this single row box of vintage 75 SSPC baseball cards. none of them are labeled rookie. You know, I wouldn't. Some of them I would know just because I was a kid in the late 70s. I might know, but there's nothing on the card that necessarily tells me, hey, this is a rookie card for that. So Card Dealer Pro really does help with that. The other thing I would say is answering how many hours a week it saves you is a tough question, because you have to fight the urge to say, oh, well, I just went through a couple hundred cards and I'm done with that. Well, I'm just going to do some more now. So even though it gets you through faster, you might just backfill with more cards for the week then and keep spending the same amount of time you spent before with a 10x return, right?
Right.
Now, for me, I would say Adam and I have different models. He's full-time. I'm part-time. So I'm working a few hours every night. I'll list cards during my lunch. I'm very mobile with it. Adam knows if we're in the car together and I'm not driving, I'm on my phone listing cards. The scanner has helped me save multiple hours a week, and has allowed me to not feel the anxiety of stopping this work and spending time with my family. So Adam has heard me talking about, hey, I just spent some time on the couch with my family watching TV for the first time in weeks, just doing nothing, just being present with them, because the scanner allowed me to, even though I don't have the scanner right now, if you haven't heard us talk about this before, Adam and I split time with the scanner. We kind of went together on this. It's at Adam's this week, so I don't have it. But before I sent it over to Adam,
I'm considering taking him back to court because I want more than just weekends.
So before I shipped it over to Adam for the week, I backlog scanned a ton of things on my PC, and now every night I list some on my phone, but like before bed, I'll be like, I got 20 minutes. I'm just going to take another batch through Card Dealer Pro from the scanner that I scanned and list those real quick, or 20 minutes before I leave for work in the morning. It does save that time and allows me to get the same volume I put out there before in less time. So now I can better balance this work with my personal life, my family. So it's hard to say how many hours a week. If it was apples to apples, I would say you'd easily save 12 hours a week listing with that scanner.
Yeah, I think a pretty good estimate. 10 to 12 hours is probably what I would say. You're still going to have a lot of shiny stuff that you just can't scan. So it doesn't take everything away from you. And ours is complicated because I only have the scanner for so long, and then it goes to Charlie, and Charlie only has it for so long. So we have to sort of, I wouldn't say it saves me time. It allows me to get more done in my time is a more appropriate way for me to put it. So if I pack my orders in the morning, I get my end listing. So I get my other duties done, some accounting things, whatever I have to do. Huh?
Duty.
You had duty. You said duty. Whenever I have that stuff done, I basically use any other time for listing, right? That's your primary function. So then I just scan and I list that way. So, but Charlie's right. The scanner doesn't do the listing. The scanner just takes pictures. So you could literally put, if you had a stack of 5,000 cards, you could just keep running them through the scanner and save all those photos, and then just do the listings whenever. So it'll save you time, obviously in capturing the images, but you still have to figure out what you're going to do with the listing and fit them into that. It's kind of like we were talking about this the other day. Somebody, had asked me, what do you make per hour doing this? And I'm like, I don't know. It's not that good. That's not how you get paid for this kind of thing. So, I try to work as normal a schedule as I can, and hey, if I'm up early in the morning, I'll go scan some cards. Wife can't take lunch today. My wife works from home too, so we try to have lunch together. She's too busy, can't take a lunch today. Yeah, I'll work through my lunch hour too. I'll just eat at my desk and scan some more cards in. So it's just get in where you fit in. And I think where the scanner comes into play for me, most beneficial, is when I'm ready to list that stuff, the tool just makes that get accomplished that much quicker, and then I can do the other stuff. So I don't work less hours, I work the same hours, but I can get more done. Is the best way to put it.
And to your point earlier, I've scanned in, I've listed cards the last couple of weeks that were sitting for months because I was like, it'd be a large set of things or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's going to take me a while, one by one.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to scan it and then adding in the Card Dealer Pro means 20, 30 minutes, I've got them all done. Well, now the wife's happy because I don't have a box of cards sitting around on a table someplace, and somebody can actually buy them now. So it's a facilitator for sure. But it depends on your business model, how you're going to use it. Adam and I are using it pretty differently, really, when you think about it, because we have different business models. So. But I think we would both agree that it's been a positive addition.
Yeah, and I feel like Card Dealer Pro has decent value for what I'm doing with it. $20 a month, 1,100 listings. That's a big bump. And I'm at 37,000. If you figure, I want to get to my 66,000, so I've got a little less than 30,000 to go. You figure that's 2.5 years. If I was doing that per month, I could shave a year or two off of that by getting enough stuff scanned. I think where you have to be careful is you go, well, it's so easy to just scan and put it in there. I'm going to load a bunch of junk.
Yeah.
I would try not to just fill your store with a bunch of 1991 Fleer Commons, just because it's easy to scan and put it on there. You still want to be somewhat selective. I think without a scanner, you become more selective on what you list, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So I think you still have to keep that in your head that just because I can doesn't mean I should. Right? Making a dinosaur park wasn't a very good idea either.
It does change your cutoff level though, right? Before there were fringe cards where you're like, do I want to spend the time listing these or not? Well, now that it's so effortless, that line is dropped lower and you're like, yeah, these cards I'm going to scan because it's not going to take me much time. And then the 10-cent cards, drop even lower.
Hey, even digging through the value boxes this weekend, sometimes that popped in my head yeah, this is a pretty plain basic card with no, foil on it or anything. I can just scan this. All right, I'll pick this up for 10 cents and throw it in the scanner with some other stuff. And again, nothing wrong with that, but you just want to limit that a little bit. You don't want to all of a sudden have all these listings and it's like cards nobody really wants or So anyway, Weston is telling you, Charlie, to scan horizontal.
Yep, that's what I'll do.
I don't plan to ever scan anything with a sleeve, so I'm not concerning myself with it.
So it's interesting the comments earlier that they were getting the lines with the sleeve, because one of the thoughts I had, because we were under the impression it's the residue on the cards that was creating the lines. Intuitively, I thought, well, if it goes through in a sleeve, you're not going to get that residue. But it's interesting to hear that, we have cases of still getting the lines even with the penny sleeve on it.
I think those lines are coming from the penny sleeve, though.
Yeah, they could be different types of lines, too.
Yeah, it could be, there's either the penny sleeve's getting bunched up a little bit, or it's, it doesn't go all the way through flat, so it's picking up like a reflection line. I don't know. But I'm just scanning raw works so well, I'm just going to stick with that.
I'm still going to test it because I like science.
Well, you test us and let us know how it goes, and I'm going to list cards and sell them. That's Robert is here. He said, so sales have picked up for me again this week, but also today I have a card I can't find. And a buyer that said they have not got their card yet. I do not know why they contacted eBay, not me. So I have, to be continued, those two issues to work tomorrow. guess what? The more you do, the more you're going to have those two issues. That doesn't go away. And someone's going to leave you a negative feedback, and you're going to say, I don't know why. They could have just messaged me. That's just comes with the territory. I think eBay should take care of things like that. Nope, eBay, that's your problem, not eBay's. All I can do is ship the cards. I can't help if they don't get them. Tracking stops where I ship the card, nothing after that. So as long as the card had gotten scanned, eBay doesn't take care of that, but you have insurance on that package. So refund your customers, so you provide good customer service, and then fill out the PIP form on eBay. That is your postage insurance protection claim thingy. And just they require two things. Well, a few things: your name, the buyer's name, the eBay transaction number, the tracking number from the package, your PayPal address, email address, and then two attachments. You got to send a picture of the message with the customer in eBay. So just screenshot that, where the customer said, hey, I didn't get my card. And you say, oh, let me look into it, whatever. Screenshot that. And then the other thing you have to capture an image of is the order details. So you just go to the order screen in your seller dashboard for that order, and it'll just give some minor details like the date it was shipped and where it's at and so on and so forth. And then you just hit submit on that form, and within 24 hours, you'll get a deposit in your PayPal account for the amount. That's one of the beautiful parts. If you do free shipping, you actually get all your shipping money back then too, technically, right? Because if you sold the card for $9 free shipping and you file a claim, you're going to get the $9.
Yeah.
If you sold the card for $8 with $1 shipping, they're only going to give you the $8. So, as far as like getting reimbursed, having that shipping built in is actually advantageous on a claim, if that makes sense. They should do something for those high fees. They do. They provide. So, I want to, and I know he's joking here, but I want to rebut this a little bit. Yes, I said rebut. Okay, Charlie.
I heard it.
You heard it.
I was taking a drink, or I would have commented.
Stuart heard it. Yeah. So I don't know what everyone constitutes as high fees, but if you do any sort of commission payment to somebody for doing something for you, the 10 to 12% eBay is charging is well within line of that. They also provide you a free place to list your cards and access to a world market where all eyes can see it 24 hours a day. Ways for you to promote those products, a link that you can send to somebody to get some sales, and they allow you to list a ton of products on there with essentially no cost other than your actual monthly store fee.
Yeah.
So I do believe that they might not necessarily be doing anything for those high fees, but I believe they're earning those high fees just based on the market that they've created, the marketplace. So eBay's been around a long time, and still to this day, nobody competes with eBay selling online. Secondary market. Yeah, obviously, there's an argument Amazon does better, but Amazon is, brand new products, basically.
Yeah.
So
the other thing, too, is I know nobody likes to think about it this way, but the people who signed the contracts were thinking this when they signed it. The eBay Standard Envelope program is a budget shipping program. And people will say, I've heard this comment myself, well, if you want to make sure it gets there, then ship it ground advantage. Ship it a better service. So you're going to have that happen. And I think in defense of eBay, they're going to say, look, who else is giving you a 64-cent, metered mail option to mail these cards out? And by the way, we know you're putting 8 cards in a package and sending it for 88 cents too. So
I would never do that, Charlie.
So, eBay is probably going to tell you, hey, we are taking care of it. We're giving you a pretty cheap option to ship cards. and we're delivering at about a 99.8% success rate.
And I think you missed a very important part in that, Charlie, in that, okay, yes, it's 64 cents, it's tracked, it's also insured.
Yeah.
For nothing, up to $20, of course.
Yeah.
So you can simply, like I just explained a few minutes ago, you fill out that form. It's super easy, takes you less than seconds, a couple of screenshots and boom. And they don't contact you back. They don't do this, ask for a big investigation. As long as obviously your claim warrants payment, it's great. They pop the money right in your PayPal account. So that's what I do with those. I refund my customer, and then the money that they pop into my PayPal account, I use to go buy lots on eBay.
Yeah.
So it actually ends up turning into some inventory acquisition money for me. So it's great.
I get the frustration though, because in the moment I get frustrated too.
Yeah, for sure.
I've only had 1 or 2 cards that disappeared totally. That the buyer said they never got. Usually they're just late and they get there.
Yeah.
But in the moment when I'm getting those messages from buyers, I'm frustrated, right? Because it's more time I got to spend on it.
Yep.
I'm trying to keep a good relationship with the buyer. But then once I remove myself from that situation and take a step back, I'm like, okay, really, this eBay standard envelope program is great.
It's a pretty sweet deal.
Volume we throw through it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't generally get frustrated by any of that unless an entire bucket of mail shows up back up at my house. That's when I'm like, okay, you guys really need to look at what you're, because they're not following their own agreement. That I have a problem with.
Yeah.
If something tries to go from here to Timbuktu and it doesn't make it, I don't know how you can really prevent that entirely.
Just part of doing business.
Yeah, no, and I ship, probably close to 3,000 cards a month, and I might have that happen like 2 or 3 times a month. So even scaling up, you end up with pretty good deliveries. And I've just learned I got to take it to a few different postal drops in order to not have the wrong eyes looking at it and questioning thickness or whatever. And I did take that tip to heart from our viewer who is a postal delivery person that said, just don't make it too thick. That's the big deal breaker. You can have it be a little less flexible. You can have some tape on it. You can have some of those things, but don't make it too thick. That's where you're gonna get busted. So I started going, well, I was putting 7 cards in this card saver and shipping it out. I'm gonna split that into 2 packs and do my double card saver and send it. And it jumps from 64 cents to 88 cents, but in most cases it's worth my 20 cents.
Yeah.
So I've heeded that advice just to try to prevent having them collect 43 cents on the other end or sending it back to, something annoying like that. And that's helped quite a bit. So, just kind of knowing the limits of that shipping program, you have to feel your way out in it a little bit because it's not that well defined to us, and it's certainly not that well defined to postal employees. So you just want to make sure that their job isn't any more difficult, because that's not our goal. And consequently, you want to make sure that you have as few issues as possible, such as cards coming back or a complaint or whatever the case may be. So play the game and make your adjustments as you see the results. To free up a lot of time and frustration, as Charlie mentioned, things like that. Those will go away if you do a few things yourself to keep those from happening. And we've all had to do that. Nobody started at day one with everything figured out. Josh is here. He says, "Hey, hope y'all are having a great hump day so far and making a lot of sales this week." We have been. It's been, like I said, it's been gangbusters for me. I try not to, share all my dollar numbers and things on here, but I did send Charlie some screenshots earlier of a milestone that I reached, and I was pretty excited about it. So, yeah, keep going for that growth and make sure you can handle the scale. Scaling a business is one thing that makes a business very successful or makes it fail completely miserably, flop, dead. uh, so just have your steps in order so that you can prepare as that business is growing. But yeah, sales have been great. So Average Dave says he had an 8-card order where 5 of them were low end. Acuna buying superstars is pretty safe. Yeah, exactly. If you've watched my channel at all since I started it, it's Favre and Tom Brady and Derek Jeter, the greatest Yankee of all time, and and John Elway, and I mean Jerry Rice, and those guys. Those guys will always have a fan base. Bigger markets, I think markets matter. When I look at certain players, um, I'll buy more Yankee cards than I might Cincinnati Red cards and things like that. You just got to go with where the numbers are pointing. Had a buyer on a 2 quantity listing, pay for 1, then after I send them my coupon message, I ask them to add to the cart and how to use the coupon. Not even 10 minutes later, pay for the second one. Well, they didn't get the discount, so
Yeah.
I haven't had too many people be confused by how the coupon works, but I've had 1 or 2 messages that was like, "Hey, can you add all these to my cart so I get the coupon?" And it's like, no, you have to put them in your cart. I can't do that for you. I don't enter a coupon like at the grocery store. You have to do that yourself. So, some people aren't as comfortable buying online or as familiar with it. You just try to walk them through that process a little bit. They'll be very appreciative. They'll probably be a good customer going forward, and they won't have to ask you again because you showed them how to do it. So,
Right.
In this case, it's kind of up to you. How charitable you want to be about it. You could potentially refund them if you charge shipping. Refund them some shipping since you can ship them together. Refund them. If your discount is 15% for buying the second one, maybe refunds 15% of their second card purchase. Say, hey, you didn't quite do this correctly for the discount, but I'm going to honor it and give it to you. There's some things you could try to do here to create yourself some good karma in it. But you're certainly not required to. You can just simply send the 2 cards without the discount because they didn't follow the rules. The rules, yeah, exactly. First, the market is huge. I'm almost sold out of everything of the Upper Deck Hockey Mega I showed on Discord. Yeah, I'm not surprised. How many listings or when do you recommend getting a store? I think I'm so out of date on this because I've had a store since 2014, I think. So I think I'm going to let Charlie take this one. Actually,
Well,
I'm going to let you take this one by yourself. I'm going to run and get some more water quick.
Yeah. So it's funny because Adam was always pushing me, you going to get a store yet? You're going to get a store. You got to get a store. You're going to want a store. And he was right. There was a certain point where a store became the reality and really the best way for me to move forward. But I don't know if a listing count is the right way to think about when to get a store. I'm trying to remember how many listings I had. Somewhere between 500 and 1,000, maybe. I don't know. But I think it's more about when you start to get enough sales to pay for a store fee. That's when you might want to upgrade. My personal opinion is don't go beyond the basic store until you're making enough of a profit to pay for that. Because if you're selling just enough cards to get by and then you throw this store on top of it, well, now you're going into the negative. So I wouldn't think about it in the number of listings because we're all selling different things too. Some of us on here are selling low end items. Some of us are selling higher end items. Some of us have a razor thin margin on cards. Some of us have a pretty big gap. on those cards, and we're making big bucks on each sale. So listing counts, in my opinion, is not the thing to focus on when you make that decision, because the store is going to cost you, oh gosh, what is the store right now? Is it like $40 or something like that for your subscription? I don't even remember because I don't look at it every month. It's just a cost of doing business now. And for me, essentially the first week of sales every month covers all of my expenses for that. Adam, what's the store? What's the first level of store cost now? Is it $40?
I don't know. Because we do the premium, which is $59.95.
Yeah, we're up to 60 now, but
I think it's $29.95.
Okay,
I think it's $30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would just say hold on to the basic store until you're making enough regular sales to cover increasing the cost of going to the next level. Rather than thinking about a listings count number, think about a sales number.
You might want to consider buying a full annual subscription right up front, though, because the monthly cost is a lot higher.
Yeah,
so
that is true.
Just
so when
make
you
your
go to
plan.
that premium, do the yearly.
Yeah, so make your plan, and then once you're committed and this is something you're going to be able to do, then hit that 1 year. They don't charge you for the whole year up front; they just charge you per month. But hit that 1 year so that you're committed to them, they're committed to you, and they'll give you that price break.
Yeah, so we're at the premium store. If we okay, I'm at the change subscription store. So the starter is $5 a month or $8 without the yearly one. Basic is $21.95 a month or
21. Okay.
Yeah, that's with the annual, or $28 a month without. And then we jump up to the premium store, which is $60 a month with the annual, or $75 without it. When I look at the table to compare what you get with the starter, which I stayed on for quite a while, actually, it's $250 a month for your free fixed price insertions. But then with the basic, it jumps up to $1,000 a month, and then premium $10,000 a month. So you definitely, I don't think you need to worry about a higher level store right away. There will be a point, if you're successful with this, that you're going to want to increase your subscription to get a better store, because you're going to need it for the listing counts.
I think if you're upgrading your store, you can do that even if you're not through your entire year commitment at the discounted price.
Correct.
So if you're at the 21 or whatever per month and you're like, no, I need this $59 subscription, they're not going to want to turn you away from that. Yeah. So let's just bump up and take the 1 year commitment at the $59.95. Now, if you're at $59.95 and you want to go down, then they're going to be like, no, you're at this for a year, because we gave you a discount to do that. So
yeah.
So don't feel like, well, if I get this store for a year, I'm stuck here. No, as long as you're going to go up, you'll be fine.
I think I was in the starter for quite a while, and I think I just went to premium when we got the scanner. To be honest with you, like that's when I started to need it.
Yeah, because I brought it up to you, and you're like, oh yeah, I should probably look at my subs, because what happens is you're going to end up getting burned on listing costs and stuff. And you don't want to do that. That'll cost you way more than the $60. But yeah, if you're going to use a scanner, I mean, how long does it take you to put 250 scanned cards up? Like 10 minutes? I mean,
yeah.
you're if you're going to be a low end volume dealer, which is essentially what our theme here is of this channel, 250 doesn't really do much.
Now, I would say, and Adam, you did the math on this, and I don't know if you remember what it is off the top of your head, but as you get to a point where you're considering the next tiered store, do the math to understand what you think your average number of listings per month will be, because there is a tipping point where you'll be better off just paying the additional insertion fees for a little bit,
Right.
until you go past that tipping point, and then it makes sense to go to the next store.
And that's why I say 66,000 listings, because you get 60,000 with the subscription we're at, but I can pay for 6,000 more listings before it warrants the jump to the $300 a month.
Yeah, there you go.
If that makes sense. So I'd be at like $298 a month if I did that extra 6,000 listings, paying for those listings, and then for the $300, obviously, then I'm above that. That covers that 66,000. Does that make sense? I don't know. I try to explain this all the time, and I feel like it's lost in translation. But yeah, that's what that means. Weston says, "Heck yeah, I appreciate it. I've been scoping out an eBay order in your store too now that I'm finally moved in. Can
He's
you
excited about
just
the
ship
Rowdy
it?
card.
Yeah, can you just ship it when you see it?" I can, and that would be awesome because obviously then I wouldn't have to pay for another shipping. When you place the order, there's a note section when you buy. Just put a note in there that, hey, this is Weston. Thanks for the Rowdy card, or please ship the Rowdy card with this order, something to that effect.
Yeah.
I get so many orders, it'd be really hard to just. I mean, I know your name, Weston Knutson. It should pop out, but if you put that note in there, I do read all those notes. Sometimes a buyer will put in there like, please ship in a top load, or don't tape, or do tape, or wrap in a sheet of paper because my postal person doesn't get it. Whatever the case may be, I do read those instructions. So if you just throw something in there like that, that'll be perfect. Wiz Collectibles says, perfect. Appreciate the answer. I'm going to use the SKU system to make it easier to find cards in certain boxes. Bang on. It took me a little too long to learn that one, so I'm paying for it a little bit now. I hope when they catch up. I don't know what that means. Shipping?
I think we're a little out of sync. I don't remember what
Yeah,
his last.
probably. Brandon says, yo, big fan here. Welcome, Brandon. B Dub 123 in the Discord. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining the Discord. Again, since it's been brought up, please make sure you join the Discord. It is free. The address or the invite link is scrolling along the bottom of your screen here. Or just go to Discord and look up the dollar box. You can find us there. And then I did add a Patreon option to the YouTube channel for some extra content. So you can check that out. That address is on the bottom as well. Let's see. I'm holding off on a scanner until they're able to scan non-sport and shiny cards. We talk about shiny. I don't know that that's possible because you need that distance for light to get in, and I don't know. This doesn't seem like that would work. Anyone heard of that yet on it? If they are working on it to actually happen. I wouldn't hold your breath on either of those things, to be honest with you. I don't know that they're going to be adding Elf and Superman cards into the possible database anytime soon. Not that I've heard. So they've added Pokemon. I think they added Magic the Gathering. Some of those obvious ones that
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Turn for lots of sales. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff like that. Oh, I gotta plug my.
They do have wrestling in there now, which technically is a non-sport.
True. And I'm not saying they'd never have it. I just don't know that it's a huge priority. There aren't a ton of sellers that are really looking for it. I think we're increasing those numbers. I've been talking a lot about non-sport and showing a lot about non-sport, more so than a lot of the other card content creators. And I think there's a lot more interest in it than there once was. But yeah, we'll see. I think shiny cards is the one where it's really going to miss the mark because it's just when something gets scanned, it's completely enclosed in a dark area, and then it's just a flash of light to take the photo of it. And you just don't get the effects on a card like that without the space and distance and the light coming in, on different directions. Think about what the word refractor means, right? It's taking the light that's coming to it and it's throwing it back at you. Well, it can't do that in a scanner. It's just receiving light. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe someday they'll, science is pretty crafty. Maybe someday we'll see a scanner that can do that. Also, that auto feeder that Charlie showed on his video is a freaking beast, an absolute unit. Unpopular opinion. I feel like it might be overkill. Not an unpopular opinion. As a matter of fact, when it was my turn to take possession of the machine, I said, Charlie, don't bring that with you. I don't have a use for it. We do the machine a little differently. I like to make 50 card batches. That's what I scan in. That's what I feed. That's what I list. It's easy. I choose the one SKU and copy it to all of them. And then it goes in a bag with the date on it, and I'm done with that batch. So, like a large auto feeder for a couple hundred cards doesn't really do me any good. But some people I think you've used it quite a bit, haven't you?
I use it as a standard, even though I don't fill it up all the way. One, I feel like it makes sure the cards are aligned best, because I find that the tray feeder over time, it kind of spreads out a little bit more, and then the cards have a little wiggle room. So you got to constantly give it a little pinch, and if you forget, occasionally you'll get one crooked. With the auto feeder, you don't get that. I don't have to think about how many cards I have in my batch, right? Because you can only put about 10 centimeters worth of cards in at a time. But
it's about 50 cards, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It goes right to the edge.
But I don't have to think about it when I use the auto feeder, because it slowly drops them in no matter how many I have. Quite honestly, most of the time I do a batch like this, because I tend to do light cards together, but I'll use it if I want to list all of these 75 cards. I'll put them all in the auto feeder and go. For me, it was an investment in the future, because I see a future where I will want to leverage that technology more. I was already spending a decent chunk of change on the scanner, a little bit more. I got the auto feeder with it, so I was like, it may as well just get it all now, and then I've got it if I want it. That, for me, being a part-time seller, the thing that frustrates me more than anything else is when I've got a small chunk of time, I want to do something, and something limits me when I get to that point.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, we do it differently. You'll take all the photos of your cards and then do something with them later. Yeah. I like to go right start to finish per batch. So it really depends on how you want to use it, for sure. But what we can tell you, what we can definitely attest to, is it works great without the auto feeder, and it works great with the auto feeder.
Agreed. Yeah.
So you just need to analyze, how that would work for you. Looks like a fire ladder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's taller than I anticipated.
Yeah, it's something for sure. That's why when I saw it in your video, I'm like, I don't want that. I don't have any use for that. And you have to remember, we have logistics. We got to travel this stuff back and forth. I didn't want it to get bent or damaged, or if I'm not going to use it, just don't bring it over. And that's really easy. It just stays at Charlie's. Yeah. If I really needed it for one situation or whatever, fine. But then that can just stay with him, and then we just have the little tiny. The scanner's pretty small. It's much smaller than we thought it was. Pretty easy for us to just sort of throw that back and forth. I do use the bin. I do use the stands. I do use the little anti-flipper plug. Once I figured out how to use it. So those components are all fantastic and work really well. I'm happy to have those. Excuse me, but the auto feeder just didn't seem like it. And I haven't had the pinch problem like you. I've been able to just put a stack of cards in and hit scan, and I haven't had any crooked. So
okay.
But the way I do it, and I kind of showed it in my video too, I don't just take the whole stack and just set it on there. I kind of let them sort of flop into it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Kind of accordion them a little bit as they go in, and maybe that kind of helps keep that from shifting around as much.
The auto feeder does, actually. It drops them in that way. So
I just kind of do it by hand. I'm only doing 50 cards, so you can just do that with your hands. It's not that hard. And it's worked every single time. I've never had a problem. So, Average Dave's is here. Actually, I think he commented earlier. So,
Yep.
but he's got another comment here. Some of the vintage RC also don't line up with rookie years. Sold Lester Hayes that had 3 years of stats on the back. Yeah, that's what happened to me with that Drew Pearson that I just sold. I had no idea it was a rookie card. Same thing. I had a couple of years stats on it, and boom, I got into Car Dealer Pro, and I saw the average sales price was like $35. I'm like, what the heck? So I kind of went and looked at it, and yeah, that's what they were going for, and I listed it for that price, and it sold within 2 days. So, yeah, Scanner Car Dealer Pro, straight up for vintage, man. If you're going to do vintage, you're going to get a lot of value out of those 2 products with your vintage. Not sure if it's covered yet, but do you boys feel like you're still listing quality cards, or have you noticed that you are listing cards that may be tough if ever sell sales? Yeah, we kind of gave a warning about that earlier with using the scanner. It's pretty easy to just be like, no, I'll just throw all the junk on there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't take much time or effort to get them on there. I don't really do that. I won't be picking up 1991 Fleer baseball commons ever on purpose. So yeah, my cards are very quality. I get a lot of sales, and things don't sit too long. Sometimes I have to end listing and sell similar to get a sale, but things move pretty good. I wouldn't say I have like a total 30-day turnaround time. I don't think you can list anything of 60,000 quantity and get them all to sell within 30 days. But the turnover is pretty good. I mean, there's constantly sales of new listings as well as old listings. And I mostly focus on quality. I don't really buy lots and stuff much anymore. I'm going to a show and I'm cherry picking dime boxes, quarter boxes, dollar boxes, and they're all cards that I feel I can sell. Otherwise, why would I buy them? So,
Right.
I know what players sell. I've been doing this a long time too, which helps. I know what players sell. I know what types of parallels sell. Did you see that electric gold card that I sold? I put it in the. So do you know the Sean Kemp in the Santa Claus costume card? I had bought a couple electric court silvers from the Gabe's 5 cent box at the Green Bay show. But that guy at the table at the end that I was telling you about by the garages where I bought all that stuff, in his quarter box he had a gold electric court version. So of course I bought that. So I paid, 10, 15, actually probably less than 15 cents because he gave me such a good deal on everything. Sold it for $10. So that might not seem like a quality listing, but those are the ones that, are kind of the sneaky plays. I sold a red Starfield. I'm going to get this wrong now. Cunningham. Is it Sam Cunningham? Plays for the Eagles, I think. Hold on a second. Let me look. But not a great player name. In fact, I've never sold a card of this player before. No, it's not Cunningham. Dang it. Oh, wait, it's already shipped. Paid and shipped. Hold on a second. Fire username. No, I don't want that. But there's different things I look for when I'm considering buying a card, and that I'll be able to sell it quickly, right? So I look at the brand, I look at the parallel, I look at the set, I look at if it's an insert or not, and then obviously price, because that might not be a hot seller, but I can get it so cheap, I can list it a little cheaper, and then I can get a sale that way. There's tons of factors that play into that. But no, I don't feel like I'm buying less than quality cards. Maybe once in a while, if like you're opening a blaster and you're just listing every card, you're going to have some stuff in there. But the way most card sets are produced now and how many cards you get in a box when you buy boxes, there isn't a lot of junk because they'll generally fill the base cards with like Hall of Fame legend players. You know, you'll get a couple Joe Namath cards and you know what I'm saying? Like those all sell. Like there's buyers for those cards. So yeah, it's a Zach Cunningham Red Stars, Optic Red Stars parallel. I don't see those parallels very often. Now, would I buy a Zach Cunningham Optic base card? No. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is the first Zach Cunningham card I ever bought. Probably got out of a dime box, quarter box, I don't even remember, but it was definitely really cheap because I was taking a chance on it. But I sold it for $2.99 yesterday, full price. It was listed on January 16th, so that's what, a month, almost 2 months.
Yeah.
Month and a half, something like that. So decent turnaround time, but great profit margin. And so that something that might look like a not quality card can be based on some other factors.
Yeah, I would say I think there is a natural inclination that early on when you get a scanner, because I think what Peter's talking about here is has the scanner changed what we're listing in our store? And I think early on there's a window where you're like, I have this stuff. What am I going to do with this stuff that's been piled up on shelves and racks that maybe I got before I was more selective in my buying? Maybe I got this whole set to get 20 cards out of that set. What am I going to do with the other 200 cards? You know,
Right.
I think initially as we get this scanning, at least in my mind, and I think you feel the same, Adam, is that I'm listing more low end stuff now just to get it out.
Yep.
But that should subside as I get caught up on all that stuff laying
Right.
around and what
Right.
I want to do with it. Is it all going to sell? Probably not. But the more I can sell, the better for everybody. And then if it still doesn't sell after a few months, I can still pull it out and put it in my dime box or something, right? So the other thing too is I think just for funsies, there's always some cards we list that we do as a challenge.
Mm-hmm. See if you can get a buyer.
Curiosity, right? Like I listed a bunch of Allen and Ginters today. One was a bowler hat mini from the
Nice.
hat top insert set.
Awesome.
I listed 2 tropical birds, a rainbow lorikeet and a macaw. And then I listed 3 shark cards to see if they sell during Shark Week this summer. You know,
nice.
It's just like they're not things that I really expect to fly out, but they're a curiosity for me. And I'm like, that'd be a cool story if I could, go on the live next week and say, yeah, I sold a parakeet card.
But see, I think those are cool cards. Water skiing squirrels I've sold before.
Yeah.
So I think the only real cards you really want to avoid are the super overprinted, crappy low end brand base cards of players that no one cares about.
Yeah.
I think as long as you avoid those 3, pieces of information, you're going to be able to find buyers for just about anything.
I might be listing cards like that for hockey because I have no idea who these guys are. Does anybody know who Brock Nelson is or Pat LaFontaine?
Yes.
I don't know if they matter or not, but I bought.
I know Pat LaFontaine played for had a pretty long career. So
yeah,
you might do okay with that. Find a buyer. Yeah, and in those sports that I don't know as well, I tend to really stick to certain players and don't go too far out of bounds. Now, that being said, at the National this past year, Ethan, who went with me to the National, we were entering some drawings. There's all these these prize things you can win, right? So he won this free set of like Upper Deck rookie hockey cards, right? It was a set that started out at like $15 at Target and went all the way down to $5 before anybody would buy them. So you're thinking, there's no way you could list these cards online and sell them. Not true at all, because Ethan didn't have any interest in it. I'm like, well, I'll take them. And I'm like, well, they're rookie cards. I'll list them. So I threw them all on there. I've sold most of them, $2, $3 a piece, right?
Yeah.
And I got them for nothing. Um, so I don't, but it fit. There were two things that it didn't qualify for me to list, and that was overprinted, and obviously there wasn't much interest in it up front. But the thing that it did qualify for was its rookie cards.
Yeah.
So I would list that. That Cunningham is not a player I would list, but this is a more rare optic parallel. It's not serial numbered. It's, but how many Red Stars optic parallels do you see?
Yeah.
Very, very few. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I knew that parallel existed until I found that card. And when you can get it for 10 cents or a quarter, not taking a whole lot of chance on it at trying to sell it at $3. But Charlie's right. The number one reason I started doing shows again was so I could have my 10-cent boxes. I could take all that stuff I can't list. I can throw them in boxes. It gives, our local buyers an opportunity to pick up some of those cards that they probably won't buy online because they'd be too expensive. And it gets us in contact with the community face to face and stuff like that. But I truly believe that there's a card for everybody. It's just you got to price it right and you got to have it put it in the right location for it to sell.
So here's a honest, brutal answer to Peter's question, because I have some cards staged right here that I scanned before I sent you the scanner, and you can get a feel for the kind of stuff I'm still listing. Aaron Judge peel-off insert.
Heck yeah.
Willie McCovey, Allen and Ginter, Pudge Rodriguez. These are guys. Eddie Matthews.
Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Acuna.
Mm-hmm.
Dion. This one's different. Alyssa Nakin, first female executive or first female coach in Major League Baseball. So that's
for the Yankees. Yeah.
This guy, I never heard of him. I never heard of this guy, but I heard he's pretty good.
Send it to me, Chuck. I'll take care of it.
Kirby Puckett.
Yeah.
Larry Doby. Why Larry Doby? Because MLB The Show is coming out next week, and Larry Doby is a featured athlete in the storyline of that when they talk about the history of that league. Shohei. Of course I'm going to list Shohei. Now here's one. Max Kepler. Would I normally list a Max Kepler? No. But this is serial numbered out of 50.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's some multiple factors as to whether a card is quality enough or not. And I guess I just look at it and I go, can I sell it?
Right.
Yep. Let's take your Max Kepler example, right? Okay, so I find that card in a box and I say, can I sell it? Yeah, I could definitely find a buyer for this card. Then I have to go, well, what do I got to pay for it, right?
Right.
So it's in a 50-cent box. Can I get $3 for that card? Yeah, I can get $3 for that card. Great. Now it's worth me buying it for the 50 cents. So there's determining factors. That's why we say you make your money when you buy.
Yeah.
Because that buying decision is what creates your margin, or it should anyway. Even if you got some leeway in there, it should still create your gains. But yeah, kind of a long-winded answer to your question, but no, I don't think that we're just going to randomly, because I don't really buy cards and have them sitting around that I don't think I can resell, or they wouldn't be there. And I do, but they're in my dime boxes. I will not be pulling more cards out of my dime boxes to just scan and list. I just went through those recently and pulled 300 solid cards that I can sell out of there.
Yeah.
So if anything, I need to get more stuff in my dime boxes. I sold too much stuff. So those dime boxes can be hot. Just because you think it's all junk doesn't mean there isn't a buyer for it. Sure.
I will say this, though, with the scanner, I feel like my floor in my store has spread out a little bit. I probably have more $1.99 cards than ever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But they're $1.99 cards that I believe there's a market for. And then it becomes the volume game, right? Well, if I can sell 10 $1.99 cards in an order, that's great, And
I tend to see, because I get probably a lot more larger multiple quantity orders than you do, at least at this point. I see a lot of those orders are a bunch of $1.99 cards, right? So you're giving that buyer base, a reason to buy from you then, because you are putting those cards on there.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's not 1991 Fleer Commons. It's 1993 Topps Greg Maddux base. Like that's a solid $1.99 card that you can find a buyer for. All right. So Dan says, started to list my kids' Pokemon cards, wants a gaming laptop. My thinking, I want to start with the smaller price cards listing first, then bigger ones in the Hulkster multi-card order. Thoughts on process? I always want to list what sells for the most first. That's just the way I am. I get your strategy here. It's not necessarily a bad one. By putting the low end stuff out, you're like, well, then I can start to get more bundles because people aren't going to buy one low end card. Yeah, I think I would. I don't think I would do it the opposite way. I would list the bigger stuff first and then list all the smaller stuff. And hopefully, the bigger stuff would get them to the store, and then they would also buy the smaller cards.
Yeah, I guess I don't look at it in terms of price. I look at it as, what do I think is the hottest, fastest turn?
Right, but generally things that sell for more money are going to be the faster sell.
Yeah.
So if you have a little stack of Pokemon cards and one of them is the rare Charizard, which probably goes for the most money in that stack, that's probably the one that will sell the quickest.
Are hand in hand.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a right or wrong to that. I think timing would matter. So like, if you're like, well, I'm going to list all the $1.99 ones today, and then tomorrow I'm going to list all the $5 ones, you're probably fine. Probably doesn't really matter which order you do. But if you're like, I'm going to list these $1.99 ones, and 3 months from now I'm going to list the bigger dollar ones, I don't know that that's necessarily the best play. All right, let's try to catch up here a little bit. Josh Williams has a whole bunch of stuff here for us. Congrats on the milestone. Also, my comment saying the rules was in regards to the conversation about sale templates and such. I was wondering if you were thinking about the promotion rules that you can set. Oh, gotcha. No, I don't really think about promotions at all. I set it up for dynamic and I'm done with it. So when Charlie said business policies, but you said that policies wasn't the word you were looking for, how in the top corner of your promos page it says create a rule. Rules. That is what I was thinking. Yeah. You're right. I'm next in the Discord, by the way. Just haven't been active yet, but I am a member. Awesome. Thanks for joining, Josh. Appreciate you. Feel free to join. That is a nice open group. It's a lot of people here who are in the chat and watch the videos. We're all very supportive and helpful. I am moderating it, so I'm watching for things in there we don't want in there, and I haven't seen any of that yet. Just like I would try to watch for the bots on YouTube. But yeah, feel free to join in. It's to help everybody, and if you've got something great to offer, that's even better yet. So, Dan, I do like the process. I do similar process actually, but I do a few smaller, then a bigger, then a few smaller, then a bigger when I'm working on a specific sport or set. Well, that's a great idea too. Mix it up a little bit. Maybe don't even split them up. Just start listing things, and whatever comes up, comes up.
Honestly, what I do more often than anything is I just try to find a stack of like cards so that I can list them as fast as possible.
I agree. That's exactly how I do it too, Charlie. So yeah, if I have a bunch of numbered out of 10 cards that are the same, I'm going to list all those before I'm going to list, the 1 or 2 random commons I have.
Yeah.
Of that set. Thanks, Josh. My brain just tells me listing the bigger cards will drive more of the traffic, so I want to have listings there so they can browse the others. Yep, exactly. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, that is what I was getting at. Fill up the store, 20,000, 30,000 cards. Since it takes you less time to have inventory, you can't sell what isn't for sale. Right. And the more cards you have, the more you're going to sell like a card you didn't think would sell.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're starting to get more eyes, and you have people who want to buy up to your coupons, so they're throwing in these other cards. And if you have 10 listings and there are 10 random not popular players, you're gonna have a pretty tough time. But if you've got 30,000 listings and it's a bunch of players from the same team and things like that, you're more likely to get a package put together. And yeah, of course, don't like 89 score 1991 Fleer. The yellow card, yellow ones suck. 89, I love 89 score actually, but I get what you're saying. John Larson says I just bought a collection which included 25K non-sport. I'll take them.
Yeah.
Is there a way I could use my 8170 to get them posted on eBay more efficiently than one by one iPhone photos? Well, you can still scan them all.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Like the scanner doesn't have anything to do with it. It doesn't care about eBay at all.
Yeah.
You can still scan them all in, but you're going to have to list them one by one on eBay. Correct. So if you scan them all into your computer and you're listing in the desktop on eBay, which I don't like, that's why I don't use the scanner as just a scanner. I only use it with Car Dealer Pro. But yeah, if you want a quicker way to take photos, you can scan them all in and then list them one by one. Because Car Dealer Pro does not do non-sport. I can't remember if Chronazio does. I haven't looked into Chronazio in a while, but they're another card listing program. So you could check there. It might be worth getting a Chronazio account at least for a little while until you can get those uploaded if they do the non-sport.
Yeah.
So
I think getting those scanned just helps you in that it makes certain that you have how do I want to say this? There's no variations in your pictures, which Adam's really good at taking pictures on his phone. I'm not as good. I like the fact that if I scan them with the scanner, I know exactly what that image is going to look like every time, as far as crop and the skew and stuff like that. But then I think your pre-sort kind of is going to save you time. If those non-sports, if you have them pre-sorted by this is this set, this is that set, then what's nice about non-sport is it becomes change the number and maybe the title, change the number and maybe the title, and you just flip through them that quickly. So
yeah, I've been listing non-sports forever, and honestly, it's not that much different than sports, other than the fact that you don't have a quick listing program. But up till a couple weeks ago, I listed every single card in my store one by one. It really wasn't that hard. It takes a little bit more time, but sometimes it takes you less time because you don't have to get to a computer and get the scanner set up. You can just pop a few on the desk, take a couple pictures, and get some stuff listed. So
you've just said the key thing, though, Adam. You've been doing this forever. It's not that easy for all of us.
Well, no, and not everybody wants it to, wants to grow it that slowly.
Yeah.
For me, that was great because I was working and, in a different job and all this stuff. So it was great. It allowed me to work out a lot of the things that I needed to learn because I wasn't just shoving all these listings through. So, and I think one of the main reasons a lot of sellers don't sell non-sport is because of the fact that they have to do it one by one.
Yeah.
So it's to your advantage to sell those cards because there's not going to be as many listed because people can't just shove them through a scanner. Well, right. you can still scan them, but you can't just shove them through a listing program and make it super quick and easy. So great. I'm willing to do it one by one. I'll take the money for it. So, yeah. And if you don't want the non-sport cards, hit me up. Give me the jingle because I'll take them. Let me know. Give me some general idea of what's in it, and if you don't want the hassle, I can make you a fair offer on them. So don't forget about your friendly neighborhood dollar box man. So, and maybe Chuck could split them with me. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe
25K is a lot. That's a lot.
That is we're always on the hunt for non-sports though. It's hit and miss at card shows for non-sport.
Mm-hmm. I found that little stack of, Garbage Pail Kids inserts, at that last Appleton show.
Yeah.
And got a good price on them, so I bought them all, and I've sold a bunch of those already. So there's just such great I don't think because you can't scan it and list it in a listing program is a good enough reason to not carry them in your store.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Find a way to take some time to list those because they are great products to carry. And it diversifies your store. You don't want all your eggs in one basket either. You know,
Right.
what if so you're listing? You know, I've heard from other sellers that are like, well, I don't really like basketball, so I don't sell basketball. Well, that's a little short sighted. What happens if tomorrow if baseball goes on strike again, and your whole store is baseball? Well, that's kind of a problem. You know,
Yeah.
you can't really make up for the difference. So um, as you build and as you um, scale up and grow and things like that, you need to be bringing that wider too, not just create a bigger tunnel forward. So adding a scanner, being open to getting a scanner, right, Charlie, is one way to
Right.
do that. Adding some non-sports, looking at NASCAR, even though you never bought NASCAR before. Try some of this stuff and have a nice round shop and a round brand, something for everyone, right? That's the main goal of every business. Everyone can be a shopper at my store. I have something for everyone. You never want to eliminate an entire customer base. So, but yes, to answer your question, there's no way to list them quickly. Maybe a turbo listing program through eBay. I used to use one of those. You might be able to do that, but you have to basically create the CSV spreadsheet all by yourself, and then just have it apply, to your all the different cells. Um, on how you want that listing to go. I can't remember. I remember how I did it because that was so long ago. I was taking pictures with a digital camera and then uploading them to my computer by plugging in the camera. That's how long ago that was. Because there was no other way to get pictures on your listings. Believe it or not, back then they didn't even require a photo on your listing. There were tons of listings that had no pictures at all, which is insane.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the tricky part now is it requires a photo. So you essentially have to have some kind of hosting place for your photo to convert it to code to put on your CSV to upload.
Right. Yep. Unless you're doing them one by one,
Yeah.
then it doesn't matter. You can upload the photo right away. But yeah, so I agree with Charlie. I would kind of take a look at the 25K, split them into like cards, and then just, hey, I got an hour, take a stack of 100 and sit down and list them. Once you get some sales, it'll encourage you to keep doing it too. So that would be good. All right, last comment here, and then I think we're gonna hang it up for tonight. Hey Dan, I understand that with how they said listing the bigs. Do you bring buyers? I do list my really big $10 plus as I get them. My lows I split as a few, $1 to $5, then 5 to 10, then a few 1 to 5, and so on. Yeah, it's a great strategy. I I honestly don't have that solid a strategy for listing. I just kind of listing is sucks. It's not fun for me. So I just kind of go with like what I feel like doing at the time. Like, all right, I got the scanner. I'll throw like 5 or 6 packs of vintage in there, and I'll do that. Yeah, I'm bored of that now. I'll take a stack of some shiny basketball, and I'll list, a couple packs, a couple 50 card packs of those, and I'm kind of done doing that. I'm gonna go have some lunch now. Um, I think as long as you're splitting up that monotony, you can get them all done. Because I don't care for that task, but I'm extremely, as you can see by my numbers of listed cards, which most of them are listed one by one, I'm extremely diligent in getting it done. So as long as you're doing it, I think it'll be okay.
Something you told me actually changed the way I list now. So by and large, I list something specific each day of the week. Monday, I list baseball.
Mhm.
Tuesday, I list basketball. Wednesdays are a wild card for me. I can do whatever I want. So I do a lot of non sport. Thursday, tomorrow is auto racing. And then Fridays are football. I started doing that because you made a comment once that as you start to build regular customers, you want to make sure you're putting fresh offerings out for whatever they're there for. So some buyers are in my store for auto racing cards. Some are there for baseball. I need to make sure that I'm giving everybody some fresh listings. So, and then the monotony of some things, like you said, having a day of the week for each different channel of cards has helped me in both those areas. I get a little variety, and the buyers are constantly seeing some fresh options versus me constantly grabbing something off the baseball stack, which is the biggest one, and always putting new baseball out.
Yeah, I definitely don't stick with one thing too long. It's usually a couple of packs of, vintage and a couple of packs of basketball. I kind of like Charlie. I like to split my stuff up a little bit. So here's just, a random stack of stuff I picked up at a show. Well, I'll sort it out to sport first. Okay, so all the basketball cards in a pile, and then all the baseball, and then all the football. Well, I feel like listing some football now, so I'll grab a stack of that football, and then I'll sort them down even further. These are from the same set. These are the same player, whatever it is. So it's easier for me to copy over from listing to listing on stuff where I can't scan. That is.
Yep.
And yeah, it just keeps it from being boring. And like Charlie said, you don't want to have one area of your store sag, and consequently, you don't want another area of your store to get too robust too fast. So, yeah, I think sometimes it's easy to overthink it. I think the main thing is just to make sure you're listing. Just list stuff. Price level, type of car. I don't think any of that matters. Just get it listed so that you can get some sales. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this week. We appreciate everybody. If you haven't had a chance yet, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with others. If you think of anybody else that would enjoy this video, send it to them. We appreciate that.
Send it to Grandma. She might like it.
Send it to Grandma. This is what I do on my Wednesday nights, Grandma. What do you think? Me and the goat. Well, now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, be sure to join the Discord. If you're not subscribed to this channel, obviously, we'd appreciate it if you do that as well, so you can not miss any future videos. Tomorrow, like I said, I'll get the show video up from the distillery, as well as the pickups video, and then later this week, later meaning Friday because it's the only other day, I will do a sales day video. But we have a few videos in this week, so apologize for the late uploads, but some weeks are just like that. All right. Anything from you, Charlie? You want to add?
No, I think we covered quite a bit. We did a little technical this week. We talked some strategies. We talked a little about Discord. Talked about Big League coming up this month. So
I'm so excited. I love that product.
But it's for kids, Adam. That's a kid's product.
Correct. And you're trying to say I'm not a kid? Come on,
we're just big kids playing with, grown men on cardboard.
Dude, they have awesome inserts. That's all I care about.
They do.
I sell way more Big League inserts and stuff than I do like almost any other brand. It's those roll call name tag, like the spray paint name tag ones. Those are so easy to sell. The foil board stuff, and you get a number card, a box. There's autos in there. And the price is cheap. You can get a whole box for what? $40, $45 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff. I think it comes out on the 27th, I want to say. So we gotta wait a little bit, but yeah, that'll be fun. It's a fun rip too, and you don't have to, sell a kidney to get into it. So it's good that way. All right, well, that's going to do it. Thanks again so much for watching. Those of you who are watching not live, thanks for tuning in and catching this on the recorded broadcast. Hopefully you can join us live next week. Every week, Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Me, Charlie, and the Goat Stew. We'll see you next week. keep listing and shipping. Peace.
Peace out.